And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
How's it going, everybody? You know what time of day it is. We are in the midst of a bunch of Risen Esports action, and Mondays are reserved for the Divine League. I'm happy to finally be on my first call of the Divine League season. It feels a little bit weird to stay that this far into the season. Regardless, though, I'm mostly happy. The number one thing is that I get a cast with my good friend Dabby. Dabby, are you ready to check out two of the best teams in Divine 4 weeks through?
Yeah, I'm really excited because these are both playoff caliber teams, and this could be a potential of the finals right here with how strong their showings have been. However, before this game, I was talking to the manager of Redacted, and they told me that their strategy to win here is Redacted, so I can't actually share that with you.
You know what? Sticking true to the name, and yeah, I guess I forgot to intro it. Was already going through to draft two. The only team that's undefeated so far in the Divine League, this split, is Redacted, not spelled with a K there, ladies and gentlemen. It is Redacted, in case anybody was really pressed about that. They're on the blue side down here, and the broadcasting team's favorite squad in Divine, apparently, SDC, the Death Cards, are also the other team, 2-1, and they're going to be on the red side here. We're already fly through draft Dabimon, and Renekton is actually going to be the B1 here for Redacted, not the one that would scream out to me with the bans we had.
Yeah, no, really weird that they are forcing top so hard. I mean, you can flex at mid, but Osadero up there feels really confident and wants to play it. But they just leave up the counter pick very easy. Maybe there's just nothing else B1 that they feel comfortable with. And Death Card's immediately gone with the Alistar to negate any engage that comes out because Renekton wants to get onto that backline.
I wonder if that's also them trying to signal that we're going to get the most hotly contested bottom lane support matchup of the last month, which is possible with the Rel still up here. I will point out, Death Cards, I always love throwing a Jarvan ban through if you're on the red side. Still just an absolute tank in the jungle currently. Freak will nerf him into the ground apparently coming forward. I love everybody's really talking about those jungle changes he's coming out with.
Well,
they're funny.
Yeah, well, if you look at it on his Professor everything, he's a really good AD carry, but he's prone to gank, so obviously he's going to nerf them into the ground so you can get past that Diamond 1 barrier.
Yeah, I love how also the jungler that schooled him was actually someone playing on that Diamond account because the flash got switched from F to D, and the guy started playing jungle instead of AD carry. So it was literally a likely challenger player boosting an account that
Mm.
is all a joke. Force freak into these nerfs because he bodied him so bad. But regardless, we did get a jungle pick coming out here, and if I'm not mistaken, is Briar just got pushed through to be allowed in some of these leagues. Has been out for a bit here, and the death cards are going to pull it out for Lexus, and Kane is the response. Pantheon coming out. This draft's getting funky.
Yeah, I mean, all AD on the side of Redacted kind of makes me wonder what they're going for here. Mostly because the only options they have left is an AD carry, and there's only like one AD carry that you can build AP unless you're going for that AP carry or that mage bot lane. But this gives death cards very free pick bans going into it, and the ability to do whatever they want. And they're just saying we're going to build armor and out survive you.
It's a pretty foolproof plan, to be honest with you. And picking Pantheon, I'm assuming this is likely getting slotted into mid. I guess if you want to get really funky, if you're Redacted, you could throw Pantheon bottom lane if you wanted to play really aggro bottom lane out the gate here. But Pantheon, you really got to capitalize on his skill set, his kit, his damage early on into a game here. And I think this Talia pick is just a masterful counter, and it's got to feel good if you're the death cards to get a mid counter out of the way on red side, because now you can just tee up for another R5 top lane counter and likely solidify yourself with some pretty strong lanes, at least early.
Yeah, what's really masterful about Death Card's draft right now is that they're getting 4 counter picks. Well, 3 counter picks. But like they got the Briar matchup, which is exactly what they wanted, but they're able to get what they want top. They're banning out these bot laners that they know are going to have a problem. And right now, they can just pick a top. So they already know what is being played up there, and they can save counter pick for their AD carry. Unless right now they go for the Kaisa, which is perfectly acceptable to an Alistar. And now your mage choices for Redacted to play in that bot lane are very limited.
Yeah, it's really, really smart drafting coming out here from the death cards, but Redacted are 3-0 for a reason. They're not only 3-0, ladies and gentlemen, they're actually 6-0 in game score. They swept every single opponent they've played up until this point, so they must, draft is only half the battle. So if they can pull off whatever comp they're cooking here, we'll give them credit. But all we can see so far is the draft obby, and I'm going to ask, I'm assuming that's going to be a red Kane, playing next to Renekton, just kind of trying to get as many bruisers out there to just soak in exposure, or are you feeling like this might go the crazier blue route?
I think they're gonna go blue Kane. I really do, because it's just much harder to like control a blue Kane, and you already have enough like quote unquote tankiness between the Renekton and the Pantheon shield that you don't really need another tank, especially since engaged supports are in right now. So I'm fully supporting. I fully think they're gonna go engage bot lane support. Kane's gonna go blue because they need to assassinate any of those 3 carries that they have up there. That's what they're gonna have to do. And like we were talking about earlier, they got the Kaisa, and they're picking that Xerath.
Okay, so that's gonna solidify that Pantheon in the bottom lane, next to a Kaisa, which I don't love. Because Pantheon, no matter where you're taking him, he's trying to brawl right out the gate, right? You're trying to get level 2, just throw down a bunch of damage. You can trade really well early on Pantheon with his invulnerability shield you can throw up. Kaisa, I mean, you can run Halo Blades and play aggressive early, but can get poked out by an Ezreal. Alistar, like you're talking about, the peel is certainly there as well to break it up. It's just really tough for me to see Redacted get any action rolling early when they kind of drafted to do so in some parts of the map.
I'm actually super hyped about Redacted's draft right now because Kane Xerath has like this super niche interaction where they just like 100% someone in like a half a second together.
I forgot about the video. Oh
yeah,
my god.
It is viral for a reason, and I'm really excited that we're gonna be able to see it here in this game. Death Card's rounding it out with that Malphite. Really smart move to tank it out, but having that Kaisa Xerath means you have that AP, that magic damage, that rounds out your team comp. And like I said, I'm really excited to see the Kane and Xerath like pop off.
So, for anybody at home, Dobby Mon that hasn't seen that video, can you talk us through what the interaction looks like, or like the mechanical? Because I know people are gonna know it when it happens, but like,
Yeah.
what is the interaction like down to the mechanics of it?
I kind of don't want to spoil it because if they
Okay,
haven't
that's
seen it, like it's going to be such a hype moment instead of
okay.
building up something that a redacted may not get to. But when it happens, we're gonna start talking about it, and I'll
Yeah,
break it down
that's
right
fair.
there.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So that'll be fun to watch if it does come to fruition here for Redacted, and it's good to see that they're active on social media to pick up tricks that they need for in the Divine League. Because I don't think anybody really knew about that tech until those videos came out. I actually did see Cage Roll, who I guess I'll say on broadcast. We are gonna miss him as a caster. He's been an inspiration, but he's gonna be a big guy still around League streaming. Did you see the updated one that the
Yeah, the
guys
one
who
with
did?
Alawi.
Yeah, the Alawi one, Dark Harvest
Yeah.
Alawi, or yeah, then you go Blue Cane, and for anybody at home, Alawi takes the soul, W's, and you get a bunch of damage down, and then you have a full lethality Blue Cane that just blows up the soul, and it deletes, like completely deletes whoever got possessed.
Yeah.
It's absolutely hilarious to watch.
There's this specific interaction with Kane in the soul where it doesn't damage the soul like every other champions does. Kane does post mitigating damage and it doesn't hit the soul. It actually hits the champion. So like everything he does to the soul, he does to that champion instead. And it is like and that's kind of what you have to expect with the Xerath, but a little bit different.
Yeah, but we'll see it. We'll see if it plays out. We'll see if it. I'm getting word from production that maybe it got patched or something. I don't know for sure. Redacted's going to try it in their kit regardless here. But the death cards, like you talked about, the Malphite solidifying it, they get that. I don't know if that'd be a counter pick into the Renekton, but a lot of disengage available for whatever Redacted is going to try, regardless if we get that 100-0 attack from the Xerath Kane.
Okay, yeah. And then I think we're also learning about Briar getting friendly kills.
Oh.
So,
So this is just going to be the wonkiest game number one, is what I'm hearing. Like, we're going to have some very funny
this is going to
interactions.
be I think this is going to be great. I think this is going to be a great game, and I'm really hyped to see it. And like it's just going to be overall good. There's a lot of what wants to happen here, like death cards wants to peel back, but they also have this full engage ability. You don't really mesh well with the Ezreal so much, but I think what they want to do is just make sure that their support is on roam. Ezreal is safely farming, where Redacted just wants to fight constantly.
Yeah, they definitely just want to. They want to throw hands as much as possible, and I know we didn't get to them because we jumped into drafts so quickly. But if our lovely producer could throw them up, I do want to show our predictions for this matchup. So we'll go across the board here, and well, we're kind of split. Gordo believes that the death cards are going to be the ones to take down this undefeated Redacted squad, but Dobby, for once on a Divine League broadcast, the two casters actually in agreement here on how the match is going to go.
Yeah, and let's be honest, if it wasn't you tonight, it wouldn't be us both going for the same team, because Spooky's been my partner in crime for a while now, and he's just like whatever Dobby says, but the opposite.
I commend him committing to the bit. Is it going to make him win the caster predictions? Absolutely not. But
yeah,
he's committed to the bit.
He's been wrong so far, so I'm feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, well, to Redacted, we'll certainly see how that plays out. I believe we're getting through on the client side draft. So, Dobby, for people that don't know too much about Briar, I know she's been out for a while. Obviously, there's parts of her kit that scream out, but break down for maybe a newer viewer, especially playing around League, what Briar's interaction looks like, her build paths, all that, especially up against a Kane in this matchup.
So, Briar is basically just AD assassin version of Vex. She has the old Draven Bleed, if you're old enough to remember his original passive. And like it's good, it does the damage over time. But what really gives her power is that she's able to do excess damage when she's taunted. However, there is counterplay involved to it because she self-charms, quote unquote. Right. And she can, which is really unfortunate for her, but like if you're committed to it, it's really good. She has the knockback scream kick, which is it's like a Scion channel, Like it needs to go fully through, or else it's not going to work properly in like disengaging. And then her ultimate is literally Vex but better. Straight up, and it gives the shield. It fears everyone around. You don't have to worry about applying all these excess spells to get the passive of that off. It's literally they're just like, here's Vex, but here's her 80 version ult, and it's all of her abilities in one. So they basically just negated into complete entire champion and put it into this person's ultimate ability. And the fact that they made it like it is, the range on it is so long, it outranges almost, it outranges the Vex, it outranges the Nocturne. It's not a true global ultimate, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah,
And once
it's
you commit
crazy.
to it, it is
You're going.
once yeah, you're going, and you go hard, and the counterplay is very little, but like she's strong for a reason. But her weakest times in the game is early, and that's where Kane shines. Kane shines the best. So as long as their jungler, is it why Mr.
Mr.
America,
America. Yep.
Mr. America abuses Lexus in the jungle here, it'll be a pretty strong start for them. And I think that's how Redacted needs to play the early game. Because once Briar gets online and if she's starting to scale, she's gonna delete your squishies, and you like Xerath is your artillery mage. You don't want him touched.
Yeah, exactly. And when Briar ults, it's a big scream across the rift, so it's like you were talking about. You know when Briar is firing off her ultimate, and she'll be coming in hot pretty fast. I will be interested to see though, Mr. America, if this is a blue Kane game. Unfortunately our runes tool broke on us. I know runes can a lot of the times tell how a Kane wants to build. Usually you'll see like Dark Harvest for Strike coming for a blue Kane versus the red Canes are usually running something like Conqueror. But if you are a blue Kane here for Mr. America, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You want to go punish Lexus on this Briar early, but Briar's also melee. So you're obviously playing the transform game.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see how Mr. America would juggle that, because you're going to want to gank middle and bottom lane. Obviously, you want to get those stacks off that Ezreal and Talia. But like you also mentioned, Dobby, got to be punishing Lexus at his champion's weakest point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they have a lot of ability to like just straight up go for all their fights possible, keeping Lexus even further behind. Like with the Pantheon support, you have that guaranteed lockdown, and as long as Ezreal grabs cleanse, they're not going to be able to do much. But if the Ezreal grabs something, probably exhaust because of all the assassins, like
right,
he's going to have a rough game. Zeranos is going to be difficult.
And I'll be very interested to see, as the Ezreal stand myself, exactly the rune choices, the Ezreal builds. Still get a little creative with it, but we're done getting creative here on the analyst desk with this game number 1 draft. Let's jump right into this thing, folks. Game number 1, Redacted, the undefeated squad. And you're seeing their challenger on the other side, the Death Cards, 2-1. We've talked a lot about this team, Dabimon, promoting up in a way from, they've been in Dominate for a while. Now they want to come battle in Divine. And so far through the split, they've done pretty well. But like you talked about earlier in the season, you haven't really been totally tested yet in the Divine League split. Do you feel like this Redacted squad is that test you were looking for earlier?
I think this is their ultimate test, right? So Travelers were the only ones to give the Death Cards their defeat, right? So Death Cards are 2-1 right now. And Travelers are as well. However, last week, Redacted swept Travelers. So, the old adage, well, if I beat him and he beat them, then I can beat that person, right? So we'll see.
Transitive property. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the big word I didn't know. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Yes, that's me. Yes, Slayer gets paid the big bucks. That's my title.
Slayer is slaying.
There you go. Exactly. Well, it looks like Shredman, he actually ate a Q there for martial arts for Y, but they look to get, I guess they just want to spot out the blue Kane, or the Kane Mr. America, because every Kane likes to start those chickens, but the rune choice we're talking about it, Dabimon, that is Conqueror on this Kane.
Yeah. I think the fact that they went with the instead of the Pantheon being the mid laner, it makes sense that they would want to go for the red Kane. Before it was just like, we're talking about it before draft's complete. Those are the options. But yeah, I think Red Cane is a viable choice because you want to be able to survive the assassination of Lexus when you go in. But to the counterpoint, Zeranos not running cleanse, super squishy, able to get deleted pretty fast, and you're playing a lot of you want to assassinate that Zeranos. But counterpoint again, sorry I'm long-winded. There's so many melees on the side of death cards as well, so getting those red stacks will be a lot quicker.
Certainly, and if, like you were talking about, we see Lexus get punished. This is a flashless Briar as well, is running that Ghost. So you can be punished if this Kane decides to go over the wall at first, but they look like, so far, they're mirroring each other with their pathing. Both going for virtual full clears here as we get a look at Lexus going for his Gromp. And I would assume Mr. America is trying to stack up here to go for some sort of a topside gank, but Osadero is in a lane where he should be bullying early. I am curious, because Kane's, no matter what form they're going, they have to get out on the Rift early, because getting form is just everything. Kane is just half the champion he's supposed to be without form, regardless which way you're going with it.
Yeah, but the fact that Osadero was able to get a cheater recall off so he can grab that coal, because he knows up there is just a wet noodle fight for at least the next 10 minutes. Not a lot of a lot of trading potential, but not a lot of kill potential. So just being able to farm is what they need to do. But like you were alluding to earlier, they're just straight up they're mirroring each other's clear paths. And which is perfectly good. Like Lexus isn't losing early, so he is doing exactly what he needs to be done in order to maintain the small advantages that he's going to have.
Yeah, they're both learning that they mirrored because they're both invading red side. It looks like Lex is actually setting up for a gank. Potentially is going to jump on top of martial arts for why the seismic shove back forces the flash out from the redacted mid laner. And topside, Mr. America able to grab a flash as well. So talking about mirroring jungle pass, they're mirroring summoner spell trades as well, with flashes down for opposing solo lanes here with both teams.
Yeah, but what's really good is that Mr. America still has his flash and Lexus is ghostless. So there's a little bit more early game playing potential left on the Kane. However, like the Ghost is a quick spawning summoner spell.
Come up right quick. Speaking of summoner spells, it's exhaust in the bottom lane. Both these AD carries going for the exhaust. Neither opting for the cleanse here. I definitely understand it for Ooga Booga over there, because there is not a ton for them to even cleanse. It's a lot of knockups. So Kaisa, go for that exhaust. And like you talked about, both these junglers are assassins in some respect that they're going to be diving after these AD carries. So why not have both them run exhaust? Is Zeranos getting very low on mana there after that arcane shift.
Yeah. If I were Zeranos, I'd want the cleanse. If you're really worried about the bot lane, then have Pierce run the exhaust.
Ooh, is Starry without flash already taken very low from that exchange. And this is kind of the hole you put yourself into if you're Starry, picking that Malphite into the Renekton. Not going to give away a kill here, but likely going to have to surrender that teleport advantage to just catch this wave back.
Yeah, and it's pretty rough for him up there too, because then Osadero still has his. But this early in the game, it doesn't really matter. The only places you can really go to until 10 minutes are other towers. So it's fine, especially since the Renekton hasn't backed, but they do have that level advantage right now.
They're still going to punish it. They have ultimate online Dominus if Osadero wants it, but too close to that turret and also too low. Wouldn't really want to take those big trades. Just likely going to shove in this wave to get another pretty sizable back down. I do see Shredman is kind of pathing into that topside river. Is spotted out on that advancing ward, though, for Mr. America. So the chess piece, the chess game that can be League of Legends is still being wagered with these vision battles. And, well, if you're Redacted, kind of not happy with how this early game's gone so far with how they drafted, Dabimon.
Yeah, they're not doing so hot in that respect. I thought this would be a little bit more explosive, but Ooga Booga does have that CS lead and is doing good work down there, stopping Zeranos from catching up.
Starry gonna fall behind the CS, but at least gets that back off. That could have gone pretty explosive. Probably would have to use Unstoppable Force to get away without Flash there, but is safe. And Mr. America is starting to get a little more aggressive this time when he paths up top. He does find the red buff. The response is going to be a mid play once more. Martial Art of Y is going to be just safe, good stun to stop Lexus advancing.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the pick too. Like the Xerath, pretty squishy. Once you get on him, he's gonna die, but being able to counterplay him like that is going to do wonders for him. And the fact that Mr. America was able to completely counter the rest of the top side of that map means Lexus doesn't have anywhere else to go for the time being. Whereas America's jungle is respawning on the bot side. So plenty of opportunity for him around the map.
Yeah, and he's already got that Iron Spike whip, which, you know, the rune choice we talked about is kind of mirroring the fact it's going to be a red play. Doesn't always. I've seen Blue Canes go with crazy rune choices. Well, not crazy, but rocking the Conqueror. Iron Spike whip, though, the Gore Drinker, especially the fact that he went for a topside gank onto Starry, who was that melee opponent. It all but locks in a red Kane to play out here for Mr. America. Now the question is just when can he get form and how quick will that come?
Yeah. And this is a really interesting play from Death Cards. They have no prio in any of the ways, but Lexus was on that dragon. So kind of difficult for them to continue this play, especially since we look at Ooga Booga coming up now with America. He's got his 6, Pierce Blade does not. There's a lot of damage that can be done here.
Yep, no 6 for Show Me as well. Both top laners don't have teleport. They're not going to be part of this one. It's going to be a 4v4 scrum if Redacted want it. But despite the lane prio lacking, it's actually Lexus with the rest of his squad that does secure that first Mountain Dragon, and that's got to be a nice one to pick up as that first Drake.
Yeah, really good, especially versus a team full of assassins, right? Like,
yeah.
It's gonna scale at least moderately well. It is one of the better dragons that you can get, and it's definitely worth its weight in gold, especially as the game scales on longer. That 8% magic resistance and armor gonna do wonders, especially on the Alistar Malphite.
Yeah, gonna make them absolute units, taking up a bunch of damage here. Is some plating coming across here. We do have an over 1,000 gold lead for Redacted, and it's partly because of those farm leads like you talked about, starting to balloon a bit, especially bot side, but it's also the fact that Osadero has now picked up a couple plates. His Pierce Blade goes for Headbutt Pulverize, but not going to find anything. And we flash top lane where we see Osadero has knocked that turret down to about half HP, and with all the plating still up, it's a big part of the gold and the reason why Redacted have this gold lead despite a 0-0 score line that might change with this Briar ultimate. Certain Death does land. Here comes the Thalia the Weavers while everybody's piling on, and it's first blood given over to Zeranos, and he loves it.
Yeah, and having Natalia mixed with the Briar, really good choice, because if you're able to land the ultimate from Briar, you're going to be able to follow up with the Talia ult as well. The Weaver's Wall able to enact both sides of the matchup. And really good situational awareness from them to go all in, but Shumi sacrificed himself to make sure that Ooga Booga doesn't fall behind. And even still with that kill and another plate, they're still 1,000 gold behind.
Yeah, and I will say, though, that play also gets the benefit as Zeranos was able to catch up someone in the CS department, as we're going to get a second look at this play, and we're kind of getting more of an idea of what the Death Cards comp wanted to do, especially early. Once those ultimates have come online, Dabiman, I mean, they set it up so well, and like you're talking about, Thalia with that certain death landing from this Briar, you're just immediately outnumbered in an instant.
Yeah, it was really good right there. And we see them trying to do something spicy top, but...
Oh, what an outplay from Starry, though. He just completely changed the attitude top side. Really good wave recognition and able to use the turret to his advantage.
Yeah, the fact that very good that he was able to delete that wave between his E and ultimate, and Osadero couldn't even get his Dominus off in time to keep him alive long enough.
Yeah, Mr. America only shows up just to push off the wave and grab a couple lowly stacks. Starry, you just can't fight if you're that no-form Kane by this point. Mr. America, you obviously like to get form as quickly as possible, but you might start seeing the disadvantages of being formless at this marker in the game. It's just not going to be a factor.
Yeah, I think they're going for the cheesy TikTok play, and instead of like understanding that a competitive Kane is extremely easy to counter because he excels in solo queue because people don't talk to each other. They mute and they go upon their games. However, in competitive, it's really easy to mark him, track him, and prevent him from doing anything. And you see that, like you said, it's 12 minutes in, does not have his form yet, and he needs that going, especially now that he's got his mythic completed.
Yeah, and he did actually have a bounty for just a little bit there, just dissipated as Lexus started to catch up in farm. So at least Mr. America has that going for him, has that 20 CS lead. But I got to think, I know it's hard to track Kane form when you're observing a game of League. I got to think Mr. America isn't even really that close.
I don't think he is either, to be truthfully honest with you. Like,
He's had like 1.5 gangs topside, but outside that, he's just been invading and farming.
yeah, like barely able to do anything at this point. And Briar has already impacted the map, even behind on CS.
And Briar just gets even scarier as the game goes on. As Pierce Blade wants to go in once more. Mr. America is here, jumps out of the bush, and here comes that Pantheon Grand Starfall to show up. So Redacted cook up their own little bot side gank, but they're only able to trade 1-for-1 in the end of the day.
Yeah, really good on Pierce. That ignite really saved it there. But Ooga Booga just ate all this damage for free without his flash. His flash is up.
His exhaust is up too. Or I guess he did exhaust, but
Yeah.
it's interesting to
But,
see
like,
though, Dobby, that both teams have gone for, you know, not global ultimates, but far out ultimate plays bottom side to pick up kills.
Yeah, top lane is not an effective place for them to invest their time.
We're seeing them invest at mid if you're talking about Redacted as they do drop Shelly, but certain death actually landed for Lexus. Gets stunned under turret. Good thing he didn't go for that Blood Frenzy or Berserker. Lexus would have certainly fallen to martial arts for why we talked about. That's the double-edged sword that is Briar.
Yeah, but Starry, his ultimate's back up now. Osadero,
Oh my god, it doesn't matter. Hostadero has no chance. Mr. America once again shows up late to the party. This is a formless Kane, 2 levels down. Starry is just going to wet noodle fight it out. All while on the other side, the Death Guards have secured their second Drake here. Ult coming across here from Ultra R for Y to try and get the trade. Umbral Trespass, there isn't enough damage. And that Gore Drinker might have just saved Mr. America from being plastered on an outplay screen.
Yeah, and as bad as that is, like, as bad as a play that was, I'm pretty sure Kane got enough of his red stacks there, hopefully, to level up and get that red form.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what the play was going
Still no.
for.
Still.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, he definitely didn't get blue form. I'll guarantee you that. So he's not on the 5-minute timer, and this is starting to look rough for Redacted's draft, Dobby.
Yeah, like the draft looks bad, but they're playing the scaling game, and once that Kane goes off, it's going to be very hard to deal with him. And look at all that damage. He doesn't have form, still able to hurt Lexus like that.
Yeah, and wow, he's doing a lot of hurt. He might have just picked up enough stacks to get form. His Lexus already pretty low here. Just trying to kite, but a beautiful stun from martial art for Y. The Berserker form not enough, and look at the double up coming across. Shredman falls as well, just trying to bail out his jungler.
Yeah, absolutely terrible for them. A bad turn of events. Like, going in for that kill, very smart on America. He's definitely got form now, hiding somewhere. But he just needs to get back, and they're prioritizing the objective over the form, which is smart. Lexus is dead, Shred is gone, and they need to get something else going.
Thank you, Observer, whoever pointed that out. But somehow, Mr. America has blue form ready, so form is not coming anytime soon. I don't know when he picked it up, but even if he picked it up a little bit earlier, that means that Mr. America is not going to get his desired form until at least, I would wager, 18 minutes, if not even
he's
further.
fast right now.
Oh, what? Okay, so he must have gotten Shadow Assassin way earlier than we predicted.
Yeah, way earlier.
Okay, all right, this looks a lot better than what I thought it was.
Yeah, like a 21-minute form.
Oh, that would have been bad. Yeah, I mean, that would have been dire straits. But now, like you talked about, you know, 4 might have been a bit of a struggle to get, but the itemizations coming across for this Kane are putting him on a huge power spike potential.
Yeah, but but in Death Card's chance, like they have to either give up their bot lane turret or fight for this next Rift Herald. Like there's just no other in between, especially since Ezreal's got his mythic item. And yes, Kaisa does have, I guess, Stormrazor going some weird build.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Dobby.
I have not. I thought maybe they were gonna do the Umbral thing and go Dustblade, but because just fitting in with the assassin motif that they got going on.
Nope, it is something completely different here, and it's actually Redacted that are going to lose that bottom lane turret that comes across, so Lexus getting some invades going, and despite the fact they haven't had the gold lead, the Death Cards are at least playing with some confidence throughout this one.
They're playing like they have the gold lead. They're very proactive on the map, doing exactly what they want to do, making plays, and Redacted are the ones answering. Like, they don't have any idea of what they need to do on their own.
All Osadero knows is that he is locked in this wet noodle fight. I think he's pretty sick and tired of getting outplayed. That lane looked all up Osadero. Got to give a lot of credit to Starry for being able to come out of this thing 2-0, has regained that CS lead, and how we might get that jungler brawl we were looking for. Mr. America certainly has the advantage here, though, in level and itemization. But you can see how the Death Cards, they really want to prioritize that Rift Herald.
Yeah.
Oh, it's already gone. I'm stupid.
Yeah, he already took it, but it's fine. They traded the bot turret for it, and realistically, all you're doing is trading turret for turret with that Rift Herald. However, that Rift Herald does come with that 300 gold. So it depends on how well they utilize the Rift, and they really just need to open up this map more, and they should definitely try and get it going in mid, especially with how low that tower is right now.
And all the while this is going on, you know, got to give credit to Martial Arts for why. It was the target of a lot of those early ganks from Lexus, but didn't die, picked up a lowly assist, farming very well, and if you're Xerath early game, you can't really ask for much more.
Yeah, the name of the game is to survive, and he did exactly what Zeranos did. Like, there's no losing lane from either side right now. So the game is still relatively even, and there's a lot of impact that they have on the map, and it looks like we're going to see a spicy bot fight.
That was True Shot Barrage already out from Zeranos for a bit of scouting. Jungler fight going on is in the background. Ooh, we do have Osadero teleporting over. They're trying to collapse, pinch off this flank from the Death Guards. Osadero popped Dominus already, looking like he wants to fight, but he's taking way too much damage, gets stunned up and deleted by Lexus. Ride the Arcade coming out, but that's only going to find a trade as they also lose Mr. America. And look at the Death Guards going blow for blow. They find 3, and they're going to pick up Soul Point as well.
Yeah, Mr. America is definitely screaming at himself right now because, like, he had his Umbral up and he didn't use it. He just sat there taking all that damage. And the fact that they were able to delete Osadero, and I'm pretty sure he didn't even get his Gorge off. They just completely destroyed him. Very hard team fight for him.
Yeah, and it really all started. Got to get a lot of onus to Lexus here, just recognizing shutting down that flank. And if you are Redacted here, I don't know if you necessarily have to go this hard for a fight off the gate. I mean, you have a Xerath that has so much damage, is already pretty online. You see Martial Arts Fly does get that 1 kill. You got to think setup-wise, you'd rather just have him get a bit more poke down before fighting.
Yeah, they have the ability to poke there, and we saw it in that team fight. They were just trading, like, they have the ability, but they're not utilizing it because they don't have the prio around these objectives, and it's starting to cost them. Like, they've maintained a gold lead, but it's now inching ever closer to go to the side of Death Guards.
And an even game won't be fun, especially with all the scaling factor on the side of SCC. I will say, you know, the fact that this is a red cane for Mr. America is going to scale, you know, better than we predicted in draft. But Briar, you mentioned it, Dobby, just gets even scarier as this game goes on.
Yeah, Briar is going to be one of those champions that even if it doesn't go well here, will most likely force a ban going into game 2.
And that's a lot of pull. That's a big pull. Especially, you know, you got the fact that Redacted Osadero, Redacted's really nice in a lot of modes, but there's always a point where the Croc just does not bring the same damage. He goes from the form that we are fear in the Everglades to the shoe that so many kids wear.
Right, and we talked about this with the B1 pick too, that it just wasn't a very good pick. I just don't think they knew what else to go with.
Well, they're going topside now, Dobby. They're finally going to get this 2v1 they've been waiting for, trying to make sure Starry can't ult himself back out of there. But look at the turn coming out. Here comes Lexus, lands right on top of Osadero. It's global ult phenomenon. Everybody coming in from all sides, but Show Me is actually able to come through with a Grand Starfall to get one of those kills. Starry barely able to survive as well. All the while, Mr. Arts for a while was firing with that right of Arcane, but here's Shredman showing up in the mid lane. Department gets one, doesn't get the seismic shove. Big knockup for Mr. America. Osadero will find that kill. Alistair showing up, but he doesn't have any friends. Somehow still pops Osadero. Zoranos is finally here now, the only damage dealer. Starry coming back in with a teleport. Do they look for the turn here? No unstoppable force, no real big engage tools. And they're just going to back off with an even 2-for-2 exchange.
Yeah, really good. Like, Starry surviving there was really good there, so that he can able to teleport back in and make sure that nothing else happens. Pierce Blade, going right into the replay. The full and all in going on Briar as she ults in is the best move that they could possibly do. But you see here, Starry gets so low and is able to survive. But Shredman trading on the Show Me, really good. However, Pierce Blade coming up from behind and decides to just kill Osadero by himself, denying that gold going onto the Ezreal, who you want to scale and do everything better. This TP definitely saved Pierce's life, though.
I feel like you get Chad Alistar play, though, from Pierce Blade. He just, I mean, he must really understand the little damage this support Alistar can get out to find that trade. And, you know, it does make go for 2-for-2, but like you talked about, not where you always want the goal to go to. But got to give credit to Pierce Blade. 2-0-3 on this Alistar. He's got a bounty.
Yeah, that I think that Radiant Virtue is low-key probably the thing that's doing a lot for him. Even though it didn't get a lot of utility in that last team fight because he used it to kill Osadero. But as we move forward, around the rest of the objectives going, we have Soul coming up in a minute. Baron's online right now. There's all these towers that they could still take. Just playing around that Alistar ult, soaking up all that damage, and that Radiant Virtue healing his squishies, I think is going to be really good.
See how that itemization plays out as we are once again at a certain deadlock. The gold is very close, but still got to keep an eye on that Drake count. I know it's a Cloud Soul, not everybody's favorite, but STC have done a really good job in the neutral objective department towards the bot side, and they got to feel pretty comfortable with that going their way, especially, like you talked about, Dobby, how well they've set up around these neutral objectives early.
Yeah, I think if I'm on the side of Redacted, I want STC to go take this dragon immediately. Not because it's a good soul for them to have, or they want. I think what they want to do is make sure that the next dragon is Elder, and then to fight off of that.
Right.
So just getting to that sooner. Yeah, getting to that sooner, I think, is really good. And the fact that they're able to get basically pressure topside completely while this dragon happens. You just see
they're going
even
right
if they
out
don't
for
get it, Osadero is getting that top turret. Probably the inhibitor, because Malphite doesn't do any damage, and if he's taking the dragon by himself, then they're just doing nothing. They're just giving up all this.
This is a really intriguing call. Now STC are going twofold. They're going for a mid shove, so they're going to at least trade turrets. But yeah, like you talked about, Osadero, one more slash. He picks up an inhibitor turret, breaks the red side base. Soul will be secured, but certainly a bit of a head-scratching trade.
Yeah, we just got to be careful because this full commitment topside, once he dies, or if he dies, then, like, you're giving up Baron.
Well, he's going to commit for it. Picks up the inhibitor. and likely not going to find a way out here. Does double slice and dice. Unstoppable Force will shut him down. Shredman trying to keep his distance as Dominus is popped. Doesn't want to get too close, but wants to get some damage out, but isn't finding the skill shots. On the other side, big headbutt pulverized into the certain death. Hello, Lexus showing off the Briar Tech, and they're hunting down these carries, but they can't find the kills. Ooga Booga able to escape, gets knocked up. Martial Arts for Y, pulling away, but Zeranos is melting the front line. Look how low these health bars are. Zeranos not going to commit to the chase, but what a turn from the death cards. Here comes the right of the Arcane. Zeranos put on his dancing shoes, but he gets sniped. Alexis with the response over the wall gets one in that frenzy, chasing Ooga Booga down, and one more dash picks up a huge double. The death cards show out for an ace, and Baron will be their prize.
Yeah, Uga got booged there. It was pretty bad. But the fact that Martial Arts was able to get the kill on the Zeranos really good, but the SDC went straight for that Baron fight, and everyone was low. Briar got onto everybody.
Oh, show me. I respect the play, brother, but yep, that's a pop. You gotta respect the play.
Yeah, but like you see right here, everyone's so low. SDC's full up. Like it was literally just easy pickings.
How about Pierce plays Alistair by this point? I mean, the score line's nice, but these headbutt pulverizes are just on point constantly.
Yeah, they're just doing everything to Redacted, and they have no answer for it. And for the first time in 27 minutes, even the fact that they've been so far ahead, they now have the gold lead, but they still have to answer for that top side. They got all that pressure coming in. Elder's up in 3.5 minutes, and there's now objective bounty, so there is a way for Redacted to get back into the game.
Kind of crazy the objective bounties are coming out here. The gold isn't that too far apart, but
It's the objectives.
yeah, that's true. It's all the objectives coming across here. No objectives to be taken in this bot lane skirmish. Is thought they might commit down here to start. There's a lot of just champions in general down here. We got a good old-fashioned 5v4 coming across, making a 5v5. That's the teleport. Huge Unstoppable Force onto that back line. Certain Death doesn't get through. Osadero taking up Lexus's damage, but can't do it for long. Does finally get popped. They're trying to get trade damage out. Xerath getting free shots. Ooga Booga has the trade. Mr. America now, he's got to be the front line. Martial Arts for Y. He can't step up too far here. The siege will continue. They have a wave coming across. That tier 2 is as good as gone. Does the death cards decide to pull the trigger? They don't have their main engaged tool. Pierceblade can't find an angle. So after everybody pulls up bot lane, it's actually only a couple of kills in a turret.
Yeah, which is probably best case scenario for Redacted. They're, I don't even want to call him a crocodile. Like he's like a sad lizard now. But the best thing he did all game was eat that ultimate from Lexus, preventing him from getting onto his team's backline. So maybe a stroke of luck there that they weren't able to end the game, but I think this is like, that was the best way that Redacted can do this. But we have 2 minutes. We have Elder Dragon spawning. Like, hopefully Osadero can be useful because this B1 Renekton is smelling like a skunk.
Yeah. And the hope here, I'm interested to see how the flip potentially could go out here for Redacted. I'm curious when exactly the inhibitor timers will come back up. I gotta think it's close to that Elder, but how many times have you watched a game, I've even seen at the highest levels, where teams just tunnel onto Elder and lose because they have their base open and exposed on the other side? I'm not saying it's gonna happen here, but with the timers, there's gonna be a window if the waves are right.
Yeah, like, the amount of freaking Elder flips are ridiculous. Just
Yeah,
because
right?
it's so strong, and you see that Redacted are able to get SDC really low. They just can't finish them off, and by the time they get close enough, they're all dead. But getting two objective bounties right off the bat, closing that gold lead, hopefully getting to one more item spike. The Xerath needs his Rabadon, so I wonder how close he is to that.
Speaking of items, Ooga Booga is now gone back to that hybrid build. Has the Rage Blade, I believe. Yeah, that's all the components of a Nashor's. So the build is normalized a bit. The Storm Racer, though, still kind of a question mark.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that build. I don't understand the Stormrazor. They have other options available, but I do like that he went for the elixir, holding it in his pocket, because I think he recognized the next team fight will most likely be the last, and doing everything he can to make sure that he's ready for it instead of just burning it now. Best choice.
Gets the Dabimon stamp of approval, and yeah, it feels like we are approaching the climax of this game number 1. That Elder is less than 20 seconds away. The top inhibitor has respawned here for the death cards, and they have the wave sort of in their advantage. It won't be out of theirs for a while, so you can see Redacted, they're stacking up. This 5v5, Dabi, is literally everything.
Yeah, this next team fight's definitely the last team fight. It's all about the Elder Dragon and the prep for it, but you see that SDC has all this vision control, and they're the ones with the best engage. And Redacted has no answer for it. They're walking in blind. They're not walking together.
Would you
And
believe
they're
that?
starting to fight away from each other.
And they're just zoning Mr. America. Now they look for the trade. Ooh, the Briar Roll does miss, but there's Pierce Blade forward. The knock-up combos, they get right on top of the priority targets. Martial Arts for Y is popped in an instant. Zoranos has the peel he needs, jumping forward, trying to pick off the Croc. Shredman gets Show Me, and what a showing. SDC are going to hand Redacted their first game loss of the season and put themselves in a spot to take down the champions in the series.
Yeah, if SDC wins here, they'll have the head-to-head win, and they'll be tied for first place with basically everyone else.
What a showing, though. I mean, this is
really good.
This is not what we expected in our predictions at all, Dabi. I'm happy to be surprised. Nexus is going to go down, and got to sing the praises of that draft we talked about in the beginning.
Yeah, it was. I really like the Briar pick. I think that is definitely gonna draw some bans moving it forward, just because it was so oppressive, especially as the game went on. Like that 2-second fear is it is so bad, and it is stronger than a Fiddlesticks ult. Not because it's doing damage, but because it doesn't allow the other team for half counterplay.
Yeah, no real counterplay coming across there. Redacted, they went for some cheeky plays, but certainly get punched in the mouth here, Dabi. I know we don't have a lot of tape on Redacted watching them play because this is their first time on stream, but what do they got to go to? What do they got to get away from that game 1 draft? You feel like that really hurt them?
Be wanting a super counterable top lane. I think that is definitely where they need to fix a lot of their things, but hopefully they go on the red side. I think red side is better in the current patch and with the meta that is currently out there. Just getting those guaranteed counter picks. Depending on how the draft goes, like you can get a lot more than what you have. And yeah, Redacted tried to be cheeky with their picks, but you were talking about how Pantheon not really that strong of a bot laner, and it showed. Like Alistar basically moved him wherever he wanted to on the map.
Pierce Blade was kind of just the MVP in a lot of those fights for me. Really showed out, and gotta give the support players their love when they can, because they don't always show up in the stat sheet. A lot of stats they're not showing up on, but Pierce Blade, we saw you absolutely put your talents on display here. And you got to do it in another game, my friend, as well, with the rest of your squad, the death cards. We can sit here and analyze game 1 all we want, but what's most important is how the series progresses. We're going to go to a break, folks, so everybody relax for a bit. Come back in just a couple minutes. We'll be live with game 2 draft to see if Redacted can hold on to their perfect season.
Awake to my voice and hear the call within. Embrace the fear inside. Surrender your mind to mine again. Close your eyes, have faith in me, and leave the lie behind. You're never alone. Whenever it's gone, let the shadows take hold. You're never alone. Let the poison in. Feel the warmth arise.
Hopping right back into our showcase matchup, week number 4 of the Divine League. I just can't say words today, Dobby, when the camera's on me. Divine League. And what a start to the series. I mean, we threw our predictions up there, Dobby, and we both were two of the few who felt like Redacted with 2-0, and now we're just look silly.
Yeah, how dare they prove me wrong? Very, very clean games playing against some of the best the league has to offer in the first 3 weeks, and then shows up today and doesn't look like they played all year. So, Spooky, if you hear me, I don't. You still suck.
I had to get it in, even without Spooky here. I had to get it in, and I'm curious what that Redacted game plan you were talking about. You heard from their manager. Hopefully, it was to bait in some false sense of security and then come back out. At least, though, the one thing you were talking about before we went to break here, you wanted to see Redacted on the red side. You feel like it's stronger. We have swapped sides for game number 2.
Yeah, and they're, like we talked about, they immediately got rid of the Briar. They don't want to play against it. They don't want to give it over, and it just had so much play. But on the red side, I think it's just going to be better because you're going to force death cards to prioritize something, and you'll most likely have an answer for it. If I'm Redacted, it would be a support pick. And Alistar, really strong Pierce Blade, did God's work on it last game, and we'll have a good showing this time. But let's see what Redacted has to counter with it.
You know, it's like it gets a double whammy here for Pierce Blade because his Alistar is so good. He was showed off so well as engaging on Alistar and really just canceling out that Pantheon. But also, Rel is just still such a hotly contested support. You picking Rel into Alistar is a toughie. It looks like we're just going disengage fight bottom lane. 2 different styles, Dobby, but Renata just as much about breaking up the fight as Alistar is.
I love Renata. Probably one of my favorite champions.
Good pick.
She is hard to do right now. And I understand that you want something to answer Alistar engage, but Renata ain't it, right? If you wanted anything, it should have been Braum. That's what I think is your best chance into that. Just because he does what Alistar does. Like, he stops what Alistar does. He stops what Alistar does. The Renata is okay, but now SDC can play around it. Renata being a priority pick here, probably not. Like, R3, if they wanted to support and they saw a lot of, like, auto attack champions, then maybe. But look at that. They just took that all away. Like, Renata, not even useful here.
Yeah, that Ziggs is a big pick. It was banned away in game number 1 by SDC on their red side in that second phase. And Ziggs does bring that diversity, right? You pick it this early, maybe bait your team into going for a counter pick in mid and just throw the Ziggs bottom lane. And Ornn, pretty safe top lane pick. I mean, obviously can get countered, but he's Ornn.
Yeah, there's not a lot to do. The Darius is good. Fiora, Gwen, any of the Olaf. I think Olaf would have been fantastic here. Just being able to run down the Ziggs through everyone would have been really good. But Darius also solid. Oh, there's the Gwen.
Gwen's
I love being
immune.
right. Uh,
Cash is
but
in.
but I like they're getting some counters, but I don't think the Renato's a good counter pick. In theory, on paper, yes, and I hope they prove me wrong here because I still want Redacted to win because I still want my points, and I still want Spooky to be wrong, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to have a lot of the playmaking potential, especially with the Ziggs and Ords being picked up right now. The ultimate and the taunt is just meh.
Meh. The perfect way to describe it.
Meh.
And they got to do something to get that approval rating bumped up from meh to some other audible sound Dabimon can make. Hopefully a better one. As we do get the second phase of bans here. Lot of the Fiora ban from the death cards. Signaling to me, Dobby, they think the Gwen is actually going to the jungle, which she has moved there a lot more often these latest patches.
Yeah, that is true. She did get that jungle buff, and I think the pick does bode well for Redacted because they are still forcing out top lane bans, so they have the opportunity to put him top or mid, top or jungle at this point. And drawing the bans really good. It means you will get a more favorable matchup, or at least the priority pick you want here, since you're going to have to blind the R4.
I like it. I like the tech, and the other bands are pretty flawless as well. Jungle bands coming out on both sides. Xin Zhao and Wukong coming out here. I'm curious how telling this Redacted comp will be. Both these teams trying to throw up smoke screens with some of these flex picks, and here we'll get a bit more of an idea of the identity of Redacted. I don't think it'll be a top lane pick regardless. I would assume they save that for R5.
I mean, if I were Redacted right now, I would go top. If Gwen is
Okay.
the jungler, I would go top because you have the counter pick of the Ornn. But the Lux showing that they wanted mid lane, I don't know about the Lux either.
Very a mobile champion again, right? You leave the cards open for a lot of early aggressive junglers that could just prio run towards mid. I'm blanking on a lot of them. I mean, if you want to go for a Sejuani, wow, the Zed match.
Zed.
There's not a lot of matchups right now I'd say that Zed works well in. Against the Lux Dob, you got to like your odds.
Yeah, I really hate the Lux. The Lux is probably the trollest thing I've seen today. If I were Redacted and I saw the enemy team, I would have gone Sylas. Like, the Ornn ult, the Ziggs ult, the Alistar ult, all great for a Sylas if you're going to blind a mid laner. Lux just ain't it. I don't think it's going to do well here. And right now, like, you're forcing something, and Ivern... I'm going to need to see something that builds Serpent's Fang. Okay, that can do it. But that would show that the Gwen is going top.
Yeah, so the Gwen does go top. I'd like to think that maybe they were trying to throw a jungle at first, but the way the draft played out, and like you talked about, need somebody with Serpent's Fang. Belveth can dish out a lot of damage, scale up well. But the problem out the gate for me here, Dobby, for Redacted's comp is how they can't 5v5 straight up.
Yeah, they can't 5v5. Their champions don't synergize. I wonder if Death Cards got their PayPal because this is just a bad draft, and I hope they execute it well. Like, there's a lot of potential here, but it just because Death Cards' draft also doesn't really synergize, but they want to go all in. That's what Death Cards wants to do, all in. Redacted wants to like all in. They want to peel, they want to counter engage, they want to poke. They don't really have a team identity here, and I think that's going to be very hard for them to execute this game plan.
This is just so wacky. There is only one true AD champion on each side. We're in a game where there are only two true AD champions, and they're both melee. I mean, obviously Kai'Sa is AD, but we talked about how hybrid her build is. Yeah, you throw up the quotation marks. There's about like 6 different ways. Would you rather see? I mean, we already saw Ooga Booga play this Kai'Sa. He went really wacky with the Storm Racer, but he ended up going more towards AP. Is this more of a game for a Kai'Sa player to run lethal, run a Kraken Slayer up against this front line?
If I'm, I don't know. If I'm the Kai'Sa, I'm gonna go the cheeky Umbro Glaive build.
Okay.
That's what I would do here. because you see you're gonna need to be able to control the wave, control the lanes, control the objectives, and having someone that can also assist clearing the dominant vision that Death Cards displayed in the game 1. That's what I would like to see Ooga Booga do in game 2. Get that Umbral Glaive, go for the Dust Blade, get the power that like the Kaisa can do. Because if she's able to get on Ziggs, Ziggs is gonna die. And it offers a lot of trade potential with the Zed. You go the AP build on. I don't even know what he built last time, but it wasn't the AP build. He just built AP items, and it was just. I don't think it executed well. Hopefully he learns, and their coach is telling him, "Hey, don't do that again."
He did go. He threw out the starter item for that hybrid build. He went the Hail of Blades correctly, and then he made sure to go Nashers into the Rage Blade to make sure he hits all of his upgrade points and has the AP on his side. But yeah, the Storm Razor was a question mark, and he didn't get far enough into the game to throw out a 4th item to make his question anymore or save it because the game ended. So with how many ways you could build Kaisa, I would like to see something directed in a different direction. It's a lot different of a comp here. And I feel like both of these comps, it's funny because the Death Cards have gone for the meatball comp where damage can become a question into this game. And Redacted have gone, all right, we're just committing to damage, but a frontline,
Yeah, they're just trying to go all in. I think they're going to try and bait some frontline stuff with the Gwen, utilizing the Bel'Veth damage reduction ability. Like, and that's fine. And as long, like, I see it on paper. I just don't know if they're going to execute well based off of, like, how last game went. They didn't really look cohesive. This time, like, if any of those champions fall behind early, the game is over.
yeah. And I'm curious how you saw the Ivern come across here.
Mhm.
Would you have liked to see a more early game gank focused champion than the Ivern, especially with how well you could punish this Lux pick in the mid lane?
Yeah, like, the Lux is... I cannot talk enough about how much I dislike this Lux pick. Like,
Maokai was
we could
also
be-
up, by the way.
We could be here forever. We could be here forever. But the Bel'Veth has some of the potential. It's just not a true assassin. So building the Serpent's Fang on the Bel'Veth is going to be a weird thing to see, but it can be done. But the Ivern just offers so much potential to keep the Zed all in alive. And Daisy being Daisy is ridiculously strong. Like, I don't know. I might have flexed some weird things around and brought in Syndra instead of the Bel'Veth and just make the Gwen jungle or top lane and the Lux do something weird or the Kaisa do something. I don't know. Like, Redacted's draft is... Yep.
Yeah.
It is a draft.
You know, you got Dobby on speeches like this. You've done something. I will say. It
It's a
feels like you're
draft.
still soaking in the draft at this point, the way you're just...
If this was a solo queue thing, I would dodge. This could be my 3rd dodge in a row.
Yeah.
I will take the week-long ban.
That is... wow. We've got
This
a
is-
stretch here.
I don't
Wow.
know. My LP is worth more than my time. Like, my time is worth more than my LP. Like, this is just... Like I said, the players are really good. They've executed very well throughout all the other seasons. They have a plan. I see it on paper. It can be done. But I think the odds are stacked against them. And, like, they didn't even get good count. They got 1 counter pick this entire time on red side. Like,
Yeah.
how do you do that? Like, Renata's not a true counter. You got the Gwen counter, but the Gwen just really good into Ornn. Very difficult to execute around the rest of the composition.
It's rough. And yeah, I see the vision too. And if this game goes too far along, I don't totally know how they burn through some of this front line. The onus I'll give to them is if you're going for tank busters, Gwen and Bel'Veth are certainly 2 of the champions that'll up there that will, you're hoping hit points in the game, hit itemization, hit levels that they'll just be able to shred through an Ivern. And if it is the Umbral Glaive build coming across from this Kaisa, it does give more onus to you. Of all the Kaisa builds there are out there, I feel like the lethality path opens the best up for if Kaisa even wanted to go Serpent's Fang.
Yeah.
On top of that. So
3rd degree.
yeah, so
Like,
the question is, does that happen? I don't know.
If hopefully it happens fast enough that it's useful. Just because like you can't deny the Kaisa power spike. You need to unroll in the Dust Blade, but you're gonna need that Serpent's Fang because you need to proc it. You need to deny the Ivern shielding coming in, and then the fact that the Ornn can shield himself as well, and you got all these other things going on, and there's just so much there. Like even the Zed could build Maw Memorius, and just having all these the shield cut. I also thank you, Riot, for only putting it on one item, because as powerful as Shadow Flame is, it's just not good at dealing with shields.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree here. There's a lot of question marks. We could speculate for a while. We could, if somebody wanted to, have Dabimon sit here and explain how much he hates this Lux pick. He said he could do it for hours, but that's not what we're here to do. We're here to watch it play out in motion picture here on Summoner's Rift. Let's jump right onto the Rift and see if Redacted can save themselves from what would be a pretty big first skid here. We mentioned it, Dobby. The Death Cards' only loss has come to the Travelers. The Travelers were 2-0'd by Redacted, so we're playing the transitive property. And also in the standings, like you mentioned, the Death Cards come up with this 2-0 win. You could make a very clear argument they're the top team in Divine.
Yeah, I really would like to see them like make it up there. Like obviously, I'm boys with Lexus. Like obviously, this is my third time casting for SDC as well. Being able to go forward into the playoff run, and I feel like a Risen storyline almost, if you can think about that. But Redacted just they were so strong, but it feels like they're just haven't adapted to this patch, and their draft is showing it.
I will mention, though, talking about decision, the changes. Ooga Booga does go away from that exhaust as Pierce Blade actually gets the slow and rooted up. He's a pretty tanky cow, though. Be able to walk right on away, get some poke. What I want to point out, though, that's lethal tempo on this Kaisa, so hoping that we see something different itemization. I mean, it can't get worse, right?
I mean, it can, but like
in a non-troll manner.
Again.
Yeah, in a non-troll manner. It can't get worse, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I think this opens a lot for him as well, and the fact that he's adapted shows that like they have like the wherewithal to improve and just not try the same thing and beat their head into a wall. But overall, this is going a lot better early game for them.
Early game, we're seeing a lot more early traits here. We didn't have first blood come across until nearly the 10-minute mark, but both these teams in both side lanes getting a lot of damage down here. Starry showing off why Ornn is the tank, mage, assassin, expertise, whatever label you want to call him. Starry doing a good job to trade early there, and those bombs from Zeranos getting their weight in gold on top of that.
Yeah, I kind of wish that America was invading, because we all know like how slow the Ivern is and needs to be able to like get the passive in order to do anything. But everyone is just out farming their opponent right now, and this is really good for them. The earlier they can get this lead and this advantage, and hopefully translate it into something, will do great for them. I'm kind of thinking Osadero is just gonna get payback for game one, though. There's just something about it that just says, I'm gonna eat that horn.
Well, he's still trading pretty well with him. It's actually, yeah, Mr. America going across for that invade, gets the knock up. And Osadero is going in. He pops the ghost. Snip, snip. Doesn't find the kill. Flash coming across from Show Me, trying to lock up Lexus. They really want this kill, but he's able to flash over the short wall. Shredman also going to have to follow with a flash as well. So no kill for Redacted until Starry does fall for it. Osadero right on time. Dabimon gets that revenge kill.
Yeah, and he did it. Starry wasn't even able to flash out of it to prevent his death. And I just talked about it, America invading, getting that priority, taking away those buffs from the Ivern, really good there. Burning the flash from Shredman and Lexus as well. Like, this early game definitely going in the way of their favor. And as long as they can keep this up, they're gonna do well. They scale, and the only way they lose this is if they just give away all these free kills, because that's exactly what SDC did in game one.
Yeah, and it did end up hurting them too bad in the long run here. And you got to feel good if you are Osadero, because this is the second game in a row where he's been put on the champion that's expected to win lane. And last time it went rough up against that Malphite, but getting first blood on Gwen is kind of just divine, because Gwen can come out of a lane with no kills, just farming well, and become a factor, a big threat. Giving her a kill, accelerating that kit, scary.
Yeah, that's carry Gwen is extremely dangerous.
This gank might be dangerous mid, though. Martial art for Y. He has no idea what's waiting for him. The snare will land. Flash from Pierce Blade, but a good return. Does mean that the headbutt pulverize misses. So it's martial arts for Y Flash that does go down, but the time sink that gank had was massive.
Yeah, and Lexus here without his flash.
Oh, he's trying to get an invade back. It's knocked up. Flash, just like Dobby mentioned, gets one snare, but look at Mr. America just slice and dice his way through. Pierce Blade, that's a big headbutt, gets the stun. Lexus is just going to waltz on out of there. Mr. America looking for a turn. Shredman going forward, trying to burn down martial art for Y. Can't get that kill. The Ignite won't kill Mr. America. Osadero will get Pierce Blade. So return invade.
They're in
This
a
is getting
bad
wacky.
position.
Yeah, I don't know if they're potentially going to try and go for an execute here. It's a bush camp. Osadero is really healthy, and you don't want to give this Gwen another kill. Good dash away for Shredman. Here comes Starry for support. Mr. America's knock up whiffs, but Osadero still finds a third kill. 5 minutes in, this Gwen is 3-0 for Redacted.
Yeah, that's just unfair. And then we see, oh my, going into the top side, you see them meeting at that.
Oh, Shredman.
Oh.
Oh, Shredman makes it worse, too. Great path for Mr. America, and despite the fact we question mark their draft, Redacted are in the driver's seat with their foot all the way down on the gas right now.
Yeah, very good in terms of like everything they've been able to execute here.
Oh, that headbutt was rough. And we go back topside because no kills are going to be fine there. Ultimate's online, but look at Osadero's damage with the needlework. The double knockup from Starry doesn't have the damage, and it's a rampage and kill the turret. We'll make sure it's actually a trade.
He walked into the turret range, giving away that 300 gold bounty, which is a shame, but you're still so far ahead. You're still so far ahead of this Ornn that it probably doesn't matter, and like the best person it to go on to is probably him. The rest of the builds are either expensive and they need it, or really cheap like the Ivern, and you just don't want to give anything over to them.
Uga Booga, you certainly don't want to give a kill over to Zoranos, who's just been unrelenting with this poke on the Ziggs. I will say, though, despite all the damage that's come across, Uga Booga's done a much better job in the farm department. Last game he had a sizable CS lead on Zoranos, and he's been able to keep up. He's going to fall behind a bit here, but it was a tall task for Akaisa going into this Ziggs.
Yeah, but he's able to hold it through. He hasn't died, but the Ziggs is just going to scale so hard. It's going to be a dangerous thing. And with Uga Booga's back, he grabs that Noon Quiver, so he's not going the lethality build. Belvath with the Iron Spike looks like they're going to be going. They're not going to have any shield cut for the Ivern, and they better hope that Lux is able to match.
Yeah, that's likely going to be Stride Breaker coming out, and I'd guess Kraken Slayer. Osadero is going to have to be the focal point, and now he's getting jumped on. You knew this was coming, the 2v1. Daisy's out on the Rift. They're trying to burn down this Gwen. Doesn't have needlework. Flashless Ghost is down, and they're just going to knock Osadero up into oblivion. Oh no, this top lane battle is starting to turn in favor of Starry. Oh my god, but bot side, they're just throwing fisticuffs. Beautiful flash from Uga Booga, but he's still just getting out damaged. Zoranos gets the kill. Mr. America's flash doesn't get the knockup in time. The trade will come across, but Zoranos' Ziggs getting the job done.
Pierce Blade in position for a Hex Flash. Looks like they're going to dive Marshall here.
Yep, the ultimate up for Shredman, gets the damage down. Pierce Blade will fall, though, in a trade, but Shredman will take that any day of the week.
Yeah, but this lead that Redacted built off the first 6 minutes, the next 3 is shrunk from 2K to 500, so SDC matching the proactivity here and the aggression and fighting back very well.
Yeah, they were staring down an over 2,000 gold deficit at 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and that can put a team in the dirt for good in the game, and they've fought their way back pretty well. Redacted, though, looking to get their first dragon of the entire series up here. They have the bot prio, and they'll pick that one up for free. Once again, a first Mountain Drake.
Yeah, and what they really need to do, and I think they are, is play around that bot side. You have 6 on Ooga Booga now, and there's no flash on Zeranos. So just being able to go for that play, I think is just going to be great.
And here they come. Lexus is here, though. Pops Daisy. Mr. America trying to get on top of Zeranos. Big roots coming across. Daisy doing her job well. There is the ultimate coming out from Show Me, and they cut off the rest of the squad from Zeranos. The knockups are coming through, but all the damage is now gone for the death cards. It's the Alistair and Ivern trying to get things down until Starry shows up. Big call of Forge God gets the knockups, but it's going to be a wet noodle fight. It's the front line that needs to get the kills, and Pierce Blade is burned and killed off. All while Osadero shows up with the needlework. Starry will flash for a trade, but it's doubled up by Osadero. Both top laners come, and one comes out victorious.
That was such a huge team fight for Redacted. Not only were they able to trade it for 3 for 1 in the bot side, Martial Arts for Y was able to solo kill Shredman.
I didn't even catch that. How does that happen?
He probably dove him. Like, no other option there. He dove him and he misplayed it. That's what I'm going with.
Oh, we're gonna get a look at it, and oh, it's just the skill shots lining up. Gets a bunch of bursts. And how does he go back in? Oh, well, this is getting more. Oh, what a snipe! Okay.
The fade away.
All right. Shout out to our replay and observer duo we got here on Divine, making sure we're all informed because we can't see everything on the Rift here. We get a look at this final fight. I just find this so funny, Dobby, that SDC tried to fight this with all of their tanks.
Yeah, that's all they did here, and it just backfired. And then if Shumi actually had the bailout, instead of putting out America, would have lived there. And it was just really strong for them. Now, really good team fight. Really, like, I can't praise them enough on how well they are executing this abysmal composition.
They're making us eat our words once more. This time, looking to push us to a 3-game split. But the game is far from over, and the death cards, like you mentioned earlier, if they can stall out, they have a lot of scaling factors.
Yeah, and the Ziggs is probably the biggest one. And the last thing you want to do is worry about a full item Ziggs with an ornament.
Oh my god, he's still just doling out the punishment. Gets a lot of damage down. Puts Ooga Booga down below 25% again. But problem is, topside, Osadero is now firmly planted himself. Early Abyssal Mask, but you look at the gold between these two sides, and there's a very clear and obvious gap here.
Mm-hmm. And the top mid, the top jungle is just doing so well. And the fact that America is able to make me eat my words is a testament to their the will and power of SDC.
Yeah, that was some real crazy min-maxing. I don't fully understand that, especially because you're trying that against 2 range champions who can just not pull turret aggro when you're in front of it.
Yeah, and now that you have these 2 people, 3 down here bot.
Oh, martial arts for Y, though, gets another full combo out. The death mark coming through for Shredman, trying to get a trade. Hostile takeover is only going to hit Pierce Blade. Shredman somehow doesn't find a kill and gets popped. It's an instant double for Ooga Booga. SDC can't do anything right.
Yeah, that's rough. You had the numbers advantage, you went for it, but immediately stopped in its track by martial arts for Y. And that dive just turned into probably the nail in the coffin for the rest of the game here.
Well, Zeranos is still going to try. He's in a 2 versus 1 here. Heal coming out on top of Ooga Booga, and Zeranos has to flash the big wall, but Killer Instinct makes sure that Ooga Booga follows over for a huge killing spree, and this one is getting more and more dire just when it looked like there might have been an opening for the death guards.
Yeah, this goes based on the execution here. They just didn't respect the death cards. Like death cards didn't respect Redacted in their game plan, and they just didn't wait for the scaling to come in, and that's what they needed to do. But it's just, oh my goodness,
Big shout
this
out
should
to
have been a swift. This should have been a quick 2-0. But we have Dragon popping up now, and all the prio and all the power lies with Redacted with a 4K gold lead. Going to these Dragon stacks, they're the ones in charge of the objectives now.
What a shout out Show Me for that play, because I was convinced Shredder was at least going to get one on that trade, but that bailout was really well timed. It's the only reason why Martial Arts for Y survived there. Such a dynamic ability, bailout. You know, really unique. I know you're very well aware of Oliver, not his kit. Can really just completely throw pick plays apart, that bailout.
Yeah, and like she has her power. It just, this is, I really don't want this to like be like a testament, because everything that's happening now is just results based analysis. All the statistics say that it is a bad pick, and everything going on here shouldn't be working for him, but it is, and it's just amazing how well they're working together and showing the power of, it's not just meta, it's not just the champions, it's also how you play them and who you play them with.
Yeah, and the death cards are still grouping up together, not fighting much. They went for a 3-man play, but Gwen is immune moment. Alcedera just walks right away from any knockup star you throw on top of him. And now they're trying to stack up to contest this Rift Herald. They've got Daisy out there going forward. Osadero, look at this flank coming across here. Death Mark out into Ooga Booga. He's able to flash away Shredman, trying to get a bunch of damage down. The bailout comes across, but that's a big shutdown to find. The death cards aren't done just yet. Show Me having to flash away from Zeranos, but you have to watch Osadero. You have to watch Mr. America. These are the power players for Redacted. Triple knockup coming across from Mr. America. Reset City is on tap, and the top jungle duo for Redacted is going to clean up all 5 kills between the two. Ace for Redacted.
Yeah, that was real rough for them, and even worse that the only person to die was Ooga Booga, and that shutdown went to Pierce Blade and none of the carries. They're going to get so much here for their troubles. Mid tower, top tower, dragon. It's just a really bad team fight. And we see here they go for the Ooga Booga, and like, it was a successful thing, but then they tried to keep the fight and they split up. All your damage left is on Theranos, and he is chasing Arenado. Yeah. They were just able to peel back, do everything they needed to do. They didn't have any of the damage to get rid of the barrier of martial arts. Like, the orbs were doing really good for Lux there. It's just, it's looking like we're going to game 3.
Yeah, and our prediction is somewhat alive, and most importantly, Spooky Mars won't be able to flame you completely if if there's no 2-0, it reverses your face.
Yeah, regardless of what happens, Red needs to win here just so that Spooky is also wrong.
Save the day from the perfect prediction. While we were at the replay, though, Chemtech Drake secured, so Redacted are also still stacking those Drakes up on top of everything. And they get an Ocean Soul, which, you know, if they needed any more help going across the finish line, an Ocean Soul, boy oh boy.
Yeah. And right now, on the side of death cards, they got to be thinking, like, what's left in our deck? Like, not just in part of this game, but the next game's draft. That's what I'd be looking to. You're 5K behind right now. You have the ability to come back into it, yes, and you got to scale, but you also got to have this thought in the back of your mind. What do we do for game 3? And the fact that Redacted was able to pick all these non-synergistic champions and just dominate you with only one counter pick makes it seem like you got a lot to answer for.
There are so many question marks for both squads going to this Game 3 draft. I'm curious to see how potentially play out. The death cards aren't done trying to fight back in Game 2, though. They get the flash out of martial arts for Y, at least, but those consolation prizes aren't enough. When you're this far behind, you need kills, you need gold injection now, because you're bleeding it on the other side of the map.
Yeah, flash for tower, never worth.
Ooh. if they can find this, but it's just like Lexus and Daisy. There's not a ton of damage between these two, and even the squishy Lux can just walk away from that assault. And all the while they're holding Lexus, Mr. America and all of those Belveth Voidlings take 2 turrets in the bot side and just open the map up even more.
Yeah, that's a rough one, buddy. Like, this is such a turn from game one, and it's so dominant for them that they're gonna be riding high going to the next one. I don't know what else they do except try to scale, stop the bleeding, take these fights, farm what you can farm. Maybe even give up an inhibitor so you can get those super minions influx. But
Yeah, I mean, that's something. That's what you got to go to when you're this far behind. The gold lead is now over 8,000 at 19 minutes.
and it's just gonna get worse. They have no answer. They can't push out. You see that they don't really have a lot of vision on the other side of the map, and especially not around this Baron objective. You kind of do, but not enough to be like, oh, we can fight you for it.
And the big problem that's rearing its ugly head from Draft is they just don't have a ton of consistent damage. Shredman is all burst. He's going for one target. He's throwing everything out there, and if he gets the kill or not, that's usually what Zed can contribute. And Shredman is getting jumped on by Osadero, uses the Death Mark as an escape tool to flash away. But you're starting to see the power of this Gwen now. 2 items in, 2.5 arguably, just fears nobody on this rift.
Yeah, and being able to get his flash out means you can't really do anything else, right? You lose that, either that pure engage or that ability to escape anything like a bad ulti. Just don't have it anymore. But they started up Baron, however, very difficult to take, especially with Daisy and all the bombs coming in.
Yeah, they do get some solid poke down on to Mr. America. Make sure Redacted do have to back off the Baron pit. Ivern has that added bonus of being able to set up all those cheeky brushes, but it feels like Redacted could just play the trade game, trying to get on top of Baron, forcing the death cards towards them, and then fighting them when they have that opening. It looks like Zeranos did knock down that mid turret. That is a big gold influx with that objective bounty as well.
Yeah, and any prize at this point is a small consolation to what's going on. But the one turret and everything you've done so far, like, you're gonna have to overload aside, trade, or even now you have ocean dragons coming up. Like, do you fight for this dragon or do you trade it for Baron? Like, I really like to see the decision making process here and how they play around this.
A lot available for them to take around the map still. They've done a good job, though, knocking down a lot of those outside the base objectives. They've taken every inner turret except the middle one, and we talked about how well the death cards were able to set up vision in that game number 1 to succeed. Redacted even bouncing back in that category. Just, they've got vision mapped out around both rivers, especially this top side. And Osadero, this Gwen, split push power. Starry can't go anywhere. He can't even go into his own turret without getting harassed, and that sets up for this 4v4. We're going to keep switching back and forth here. Osadero takes a lot of turret shots. Call the Forge God coming out here. Starry might get the trade. The healing isn't enough. It is. Osadero gets a big kill when he thought he was down and out. And in the top side jungle, Mr. America able to find Shredman, avoid the Death Mark burst. Show me, though, does get knocked up and booted by Zeranos. So hold on, STC able to fight back, but they have to get back to their base. Mr. America, big cancel on Zeranos' TP. He is going to fall, but that's a backstop. And Osadero, he's just bowling down this Nexus turrets. Martial Art for Y is trying to just play stall, stop these backs. He can't get the backstop there, but Osadero, look at how much he's taking in that blue side base for it.
Yeah, and what's amazing is the fact that Redacted even went for that. All of their gold is on Osadero. And you're just playing without him into that team fight. So now you have all these objectives up that they can go and take for free. However, Osadero able to get the inhibitor, the 2 towers, and one of the Nexus turrets as well. Just like extremely well thought out with Mr. America, delaying it. But that, we were talking about it, that 4v4, you don't really want a team fight with those champions, and especially without Osadero there. who is, I don't know, like 15k of that 47.
Yeah.
So
The crazier part is Osadero almost got outplayed. I mean, he took nearly too many turret shots. If he wasn't as accelerated as he is on this Gwen with those 2.5 items, that could be a very different play. As Ooga Booga now gets jumped on. Pierceplay gets the double knockup. Shredman gets out with the shield. The bailout will finally pop. Ooga Booga will fall. Osadero, though, soloed that Ocean Drake to put them on to Soul Point on the meantime. But the Death Guards are starting to find their form here with these picks.
yeah, and Starry level 13 started the ornaments coming out. Now this is where their composition starts to get online, and hopefully they're able to claw their way back from this 6k deficit. I mean, they got a lot of shutdown gold in that last team fight, so anything they can do to get back into it will be beneficial for them, and they're gonna scale. They're gonna scale hard here.
Maybe a bit of an opening here for SDC when we thought they were down and out, but they still have to answer the problem that is Osadero. He's still playing with confidence here. He's just soloing this turret. It dodges that second knockup. He's going to burn the Nexus turret and leave an open Nexus, but likely to give her the shutdown gold. Good stopwatch there to avoid the death mark, but Shredman still has enough in the tank. Shutdown comes across. Once again, it's all just a bait for Osadero. He's stalling for the rest of his squad to pick up a virtually free Baron. Teleports are coming out, and oh, there's martial arts for Y already down. They get the hostile takeover onto Serranos. That's the main damage dealer. Mr. America able to pop him, and he's starting to get resets coming across here. Lexus Pierce Blade. There's no damage. It's the tanks once more. Dobby trying to fight it out, and it's all into the hands of Mr. America. Picks up the double, slicing and dicing. Shredman finally shows up and pops Mr. America. And it's just the bottom lane left here for Redacted. Trying to kite back, but Daisy gets the knockup. Shredman gets a double. Redacted, they're starting to fall apart at the worst time. And Shredman is going to pick up a huge gold influx. Showme's the only one left and will be soon to fall. This game is not over yet.
Or is it Osadero TPing in?
Oh my god, he's trying to kill it off all on his own to win this game as a one-man army, and Osadero does it! What a wacky end to a one-sided affair, but Redacted are pushing themselves to a game number 3.
And here we go, the game number 3. That was Silver Scrapes at its most definite there. Extremely bad late game team fighting, but able to just close it out with such a lead in the oppressiveness of Osadero. Just being able to like, guys, you're in my back pocket. I got this. And really well able, like, in hindsight, everything worked out very well. But you saw, as the game went on, they just could not answer a team fight, and they had to go for that cheeky play. Very, very good awareness on Osadero to get back there, and no one... Show me kept them walking through the jungle, not letting them back, and without that burst damage that comes from Zed, like, he was just able to get it, no problem.
Yeah, but let's get a full picture on this game number 2 because it got wacky, Dobby. We'll start early on here. You mentioned Osadero was kind of the hero of this game. It started out with Lexus, this invade, kind of questionable on the Ivor.
All of this was questionable. He was just trying to take something away from America, but Pierce Blade on his roam timer, they thought they had it, but everything they've been playing at this point has been no damage, a 2v3 majority of the time. And because Osadero had all this prio, he's just able to walk in, no problem, do everything by himself. And Mr. America kept Lexus away from leaving. Really good play here. And then even after this, America went down for the scuttle because as it was spawning, and then Shredman just walked right into the path for free, giving away that kill.
You gotta give credit over to that Belveth there. Early invades set up Lexus. He felt like he had to have an answer, and that's how you saw it. And you're gonna get a theme of this. The Death Guard's kind of just playing on the back foot, playing it to get back into this one. We'll go to our next replay here. It's about 10 minutes into the game. This is the bot lane fiesta. Lexus showing up here, you know, good counter ganking to try and set up his squad, but that theme comes out again that we might see come out later in these replays is great hostile takeover from Showme. That's the main damage down for the Death Cards. They can't do much more without Ziggs in a fight.
Yeah, with Ziggs gone, it's literally just these 3 people who aren't going to do a lot of damage. Yes, Ornn is the AP assassin tank, However, there's just nothing else that goes in that allows for anything. And you see him get a constellation prize on Show Me there, but it cost him his flash after already doing it. And Osadero was there cleaning up anyway. So like it wasn't a very good for death cards, but being able to have Redacted, keeping it in there and just basically just winning the scrape.
Yeah, just completely. That's when they really started to pull away there, that bottom fight. Gotta love the calls, being able to back up there, match everything that the death cards try to throw at them. You had Mr. America with that early gank. Lexus was there. I love the teleport coming out there to match. Ornn coming downtown as well. We'll go to our final replay here, kind of just telling the story of how Redacted were able to pull this one away. We go to this Rift Herald fight. We have a lot of crazy fights coming out here, but it's once again just Shredman trying to do all these can to blow up. They killed off Ooga Booga a lot, but that's just not the priority target as this game went on. It's these two big-time hitters for Redacted.
Yeah, everyone just was like, oh, 80 carry must kill, right? But Zeranos was taken on a walk by Shumi, and America and Osadero were just able to do whatever they wanted to that front line because there wasn't a lot of focus. And they thought because they had the numbers advantage with Ooga Booga being out, they could win it. But that's not where the gold was, and it showed.
Well, it got really close. It got a little wacky at the end there, but Redacted do come out with that game 2 win. They needed to save themselves from a really ugly way to find their first loss, and now they put themselves in a spot to potentially keep it perfect with a 4-0 record, or the death cards vaulting themselves up the standings. One of those two options has to happen, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to start figuring that out after we get across this next intermission. Game 3 draft will be coming at you guys real soon.
Moving on. Keep moving on. And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
Coming down to the wire here with our showcase match, Week 4, Divine League. And hello, we've already dived so far through the draft. And Davi, just immediate reactions. I see a Darius. So, what?
Ah.
Another Lux.
I see Darius, Lux, Renata. They're just going back with the things that worked for them and to do anything to get the smear online, I believe. But a more standard composition coming from the side of death cards here with the Kaisa Rel, Syndra, Sejuani, and then Set as the answer into the Darius.
Wow.
Yeah, the Rel, Set, and Sedge synergize very well. The Syndra is going to do what she can to keep the Samira and the Zac away. But overall, this is looking pretty spicy, and it's definitely more cohesive this time from Red side, minus the Lux, but they don't really have a good blue 1 pick anyway, because that Renekton was just the entire reason why they lost game 1.
All I see is it's gonna be a slugfest topside. Like no more one guy's playing the tank, the other guy's trying to win the lane all the time. No real outplays. It's gonna be fun. Starry has played Ornn and Malphite, and now gets to play Set. And he was making plays with the Malphite. He honestly had some of those trades pretty close on the Ornn. He nearly actually shut down Osadero. How does he look on an actual bruiser?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see it. He's normally been on tank duty as far as I've seen. But like the playmaking potential is there. Let's see if he is able to answer the Darius aggression. But Darius thrives in those melee matchups, so it's decent. It's decent, but we'll see.
It's all about how you use that W, right? On Set. I'm blanking on the name of the ability. Off the top of my head, but
Haymaker?
the Haymaker? What? Haymaker.
Haymaker.
Okay, that's a really simple name for a champion that came out very much later in League of Legends.
I only know it because I watch too much Spartacus.
Fair enough. I just in my mind, like, you're just running out of simple ability names because, like, yeah, like you could tell, like, Sivir was like one of the earliest champions. Her ultimate's called On the Hunt. Like, that's just like boring. And now we're getting to the point where it's like ultimates have double names, like Aurelion Souls rework. You got like Grand Starfall, Skyfall.
Freaking Kiana's ultimate. What is it, like the perfect whatever in
Oh,
other
yeah.
words?
Yeah, Supreme Display of Talent.
Talent.
And then I think
there's
Set,
no talent involved.
I think Sets is pretty long as well too. I think I don't know. I'm kind of showing off that I maybe need to get back to my note cards and doing quizzes of ultimate names.
It's just not a champion you see a lot of, so you don't really know it anymore, at least in the current patches. So it's okay.
Yeah.
I forgive you as someone who also forgets.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, it's the showstopper. I want to make sure you get it right. The showstopper. I guess because it's like a big acrobatic event and he's like flying through the air. He probably does like a hair flip halfway through because that's all about. That's his whole lore, right? Is that he's like this brash dude of a Stallion that just cares about everybody's attention. We're kind of teetering off. We probably should still break down this comp. Dobby, some target bans did come out this time that we haven't seen yet. Specifically, interesting to see that SCC, they actually banned Alistar away because they wanted Pierce Blade on this rel.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense to see, especially because unless you're gonna play the rel, which I don't think Shumi does, so which is perfectly fine. Pierce Blade on the rel, get rid of the Alistar, synergizes very well with Kaisa, and they know exactly what to do. They want to go all in. This entire composition screams all in. Whereas Red wants to play a little bit more conservative, set up the ultimate for Samira, but there's a lot of damage potential from both sides.
Yeah, Redacted are really going for a ton of damage again. They do have the Zac this time in the jungle, so it's a little less damage. Well, I guess they did run an Ivern last time, so similar. It's similar kind of set.
The Ivern was on death cards.
Oh, I'm slowly switching them up. I'm.
It's okay. The side difference
That's
gets
enough.
us.
Yeah, true. I do want to ask you, as the Renata enjoyer, do you like the Renata much more in this game now because it's a direct counter to that rel?
You have to time it very, very well because it does just go all the way in. So unless you do it perfectly, you're not really stopping the rel engage. It's not like it's not like Rakan W where you can just like, oh, okay, you land it and it stops it, right? It's got to be
Right.
timed very well. But it all, for me, it depends. I like it because the Kaisa is going to, if you can get enough stacks with it, you could probably proc at least one passive on your teammates. The set is going to do damage as well with the melees. And I don't know, it just looks a lot better here than it did before, but I don't like it with Samira. That's the part that's getting me. Because
Right.
the Samira needs like that all in. They need that tank engage. Anything to help proc the passive stack. But
Hmm.
Renata, yeah, you can, but it's just not synergistic. But they proved me wrong last game, so who knows.
Yeah, I mean, all bets are off, to be honest with you, with how this entire series has kind of gone. Samira, another unique champion, the Inferno Trigger, like you mentioned. The closest League will get to a fighting game champion in their game until they actually release the fighting game version of League of Legends, I feel like, because Samira is all about those combos, trading off between auto-attacking and ability-based
Mhm.
hits. Interesting note as well to see is Shredman is once again up against this Lux and has gone for the opposite kind of ideology early game. He picks the Zed to try to just get on top of this Lux. Now he's going towards that Syndra, which you would have liked more last game instead of the
Yeah.
Lux.
I think it would have been a great pick last game, but martial arts showed that like his proficiency on Lex is well enough that it doesn't really matter. But just overall on paper, the Syndra would have been really well, and I think here it plays very well in STC's comp because you see the fact that Zach wants to get on you, Samira wants to get on you, Darius wants to chase you. Just being able to force will them away, just meh. Bye.
Yeah, easy. Especially once you get those Splinter upgrades, Scatter the Weak becomes so much more viable. You get the slow on top. So even if you aren't hitting the stun with the pushback on the orbs, you're
Mhm.
coming across with a pushback at least, and I believe 70% slow. It's
Yeah.
it's a big slow
With the
regardless.
stacks, yeah.
Yeah, with the stacks coming across, and that's the name of the game with the Syndra. I say it a lot. One of the best champion tweaks to a champion's kit I've seen personally is how they kind of nerfed Syndra's early game, but deservedly gave her just so much onus as the game goes on.
Yeah, the fact that it's definitely more scaling also plays into the part too, because Kaisa wants to scale as well. But the set doesn't really need it, so they're probably going to want a strong side top here. Possibly because it's Samira Renata, get the rel on the move and try and roam a lot more, get on those roam timers and play more around the map than the lane. And I think that's gonna what they need to do, because if Darius gets ahead, he's gonna be unstoppable no matter how many times you go roam after him.
Yeah, exactly. That is a big marker to watch for, and we've already seen Uga Booga like play kind of that weak side Kaisa because as much as she can play well with a rel going in early, she's about farming up, hitting those item spikes, starting to get those evolutions across, like you touched on so many times. And Dobby, I'm going to ask you the tough question now because we've gone the distance here together. We've seen some questionable league, some really awesome team play.
Yep.
Based off these drafts and everything we've seen, are you feeling you're at least going to escape with a point here in the predictions, or are you liking the death cards?
As weird as it is, I am liking the death cards here.
Okay.
Just because their composition seems a lot more easier to execute. It's really simplistic. They know what they want to do, and it's an extremely synergistic thing. However, I am just happy that Spooky didn't get a 2-0 win here. So that's my bonus points.
My menace of caster predictions all year long is and will always be Gordo. So
Mhm.
I would prefer if he didn't escape with 2 big points here. The guy just knows too much, man. He's just so smart. God,
Yeah, I'm gonna start copying him if he gets this one right.
he just knows things. He is the like reigning champ of the caster predictions, which doesn't mean squat here, but we all like to. It's honestly to invigorate us a bit more than for you guys. I'm sure a lot of people at home actually don't give 2 craps what our
Yeah,
predictions are every week.
For us, it's like a badge of pride. We're like, oh, we were right.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
It's like Travie Bucks.
Travie Bucks. The all-important currency. Make sure you get your predictions in for this game number 3. Surely there wasn't any fraudulent activity going on with those Travie Bucks. There will be an investigation made later. I won't say anymore. It's all redacted information.
Yeah, there we go. It's super secretive. But
Super secretive. I gotta start thinking, Dobby, you know, the redacted Steam comp, a lot of its information was redacted. Do we let them cook again? Because it seems like whatever they were hiding from you, it's crazy. They've picked a lot of not meta champions across this entire series.
yeah, and I think you just gotta let them cook, man. Like, they are firing at all cylinders when they're doing their own thing instead of relying on relying on what works for everyone else. And I think that shows their strength as a team and why they were so strong in the early parts of the season. But obviously, Death Cards shuffled up their deck, came with a plan, and had answers to them. Even if they don't win here, they're still the only team to take a game off of Redacted.
All right, Dobby, enough puns. Let's let one of these teams cook up. They're getting their final dishes. If you're a fan of Chopped, we're about to present the plates to the judges here. Game number 3. Let's head to Summoner's Rift to see if we've still got an undefeated team in Divine as we approach that midway point. Red side has won both of these games, Dobby, if you want to play that statistic.
Yeah. Talked about it before. I think Red Side is fantastic. Like, this is the whole thing of like statistical analysis versus results-based analysis, right? Be like, oh, I won a Red Side once, so we're always gonna pick Red Side. Like, no, like in the current patch, 53% of the win rate goes to Red Side. So like, it's statistically better over like 1 million, 2 million games. Like, that's fact. It's not just like oh. And it's also hard to be like to see what the meta is because there is no professional play happening on the current patch at the moment. So your only ability is to take what solo queue can tell you, and there is transfer, like there is merit to solo queue, right? So it's just really nice to see that, you know, Red's doing strong, and hopefully, and statistically speaking, Blue side should win one of these 3 games. So
Statistics is really just telling us that we have no idea what's going to happen, and I love it for it. I do want to point out, longtime Divine fans know that we did have a run in playoffs. We had 2 best-of-5 series, and we had a run of 9 blue side wins in a row, which was very interesting. So it's funny to see now that we are statistically back at red side being the favored one.
yeah, well, I mean, 80% of all statistics are made up anyway, so.
You can make up a statistic about anything these days. Try being a baseball fan. You'll learn real quick how many statistics there really are for the things that people love so much.
Yeah, which is really weird because, like, I love the movie Moneyball, and all that showed was that all the statistics were wrong.
True. I mean, all they were doing was making up for hits lost from one player with multiple players. It's simple enough.
Ah, Pierce, that was
Okay, that was a very simple combo that Pierce just whiffed. So maybe Pierce still trying to get his legs under this rel. He's been on Alistair duty, so.
But we see Lexus invading and taking away some camps here, and this means that we're gonna get at least some jungle engagement, or the Sejuani just roam straight bot. Yeah.
I like this.
There comes the ping.
Yeah,
They're
here
so
it comes.
far up.
Yeah, Zoranos is doing a good job baiting them in. They have all summoners available. Ooga Booga and Show Me. And here comes Lexus trying to pinch them off. Ooga Booga, good dash through, but they're targeting this not very mobile Renata. They pop him. Zoranos gets that trade. Flash forward, Mr. America, able to throw 2 of them together. Trying to set Ooga Booga up for these combos. The power of this Samira. This is why you pick it for the early style points. Able to get all of that passive stacks up. Cleanses to get the double. Takes the turret shot to give a trade. But his jungler makes sure it's 3 big kills for Redacted.
Yeah, and that's really good for Ooga Booga, right? You got the 2-0. He's coming back with Dirk at 3.5 minutes. Extremely well that he was able to get 2 of those kills. And, like, while STC was able to get 2, the fact that one of them went to Pierce Blade. And not on Zeranos. But you see Lexus immediately coming in here. America reads it, follows it, gives up his jungle, but goes straight for it. The focus on Shumi, really good. He didn't have the bailout there to stop whatever was happening, but Uga, unapologetic, going immediately for the fight.
Yeah,
Really good.
That's what we gotta do on Samira. Gets the entire stacking of that Daredevil Impulse passive. Stacking all the way up. When that red bar comes across, Samira is just fully online. And it gets even scarier once she has that ultimate to go to. It has no real cooldown.
Yeah. The later this game goes, the more dangerous it is for them. Just being able to get it up. But like this Dirk is going to be so strong. They should definitely be prioritizing the bot side a lot more here. And getting these early dragons, I think this first one is Infernal, so whoever gets this is definitely going to scale a little bit better going into the later ports of the game.
And Zeranos and company, they have to be careful again because Mr. America, Elastic Slingshot, it's why Zach is such a powerful ganking champion. He's been hovering here for a while, hasn't gotten into the channel just yet. It doesn't look like he actually wants to, despite the fact that the Death Card's bottom lane is very far pushed up here. They're also summonerless, cancels the back. Mr. America, we got to make up our mind at some point here to commit or not. Come on.
Commit! Commit! Commit!
Now he's just back. I don't understand this. How much of a time sink has
his
this
parents
been?
were right. It was very difficult. Like he should have gone to it. There was 0 flashes on them bot side. They could have gotten something, even if they only get the one. It would have been a positive play. But he just wasted so much time, lost so much tempo, and there's not really a lot for him to do on the other sides of the map.
Yeah, and all while that was happening, Lexus got the flash out of martial art for Y. He was rocking the teleport this game. Not as much burst ability to pop him, so he wants to go for that teleport. Top side has also been decently quiet. They're pretty even on CS, which I wouldn't have expected. I would have figured that somebody would have gotten first blood up here. Somebody would have an advantage, but they're even.
Yeah, but they're both 6 now. I think they're gonna try and do something. It's gonna be a little bit spicy, especially with America moving to the top side. Probably go for that cheeky elastic slingshot.
Will he finally commit? Here he goes, channeling it. Jumping onto Star, uses that Haymaker a little bit early. Doesn't get the full usage of the stacking, and stacking comes across Rosadero. Noxie and Guillotine will guarantee that kill. And Redacted, they're getting advantages in these big lanes.
Yeah, but Lexus seeing that America's top side going straight for that dragon, really good getting that cross-map play.
We'll see if Osadero might play for greeting for this plate. Starry does have that showstopper available, comes right out with it. But here comes the trusty duo, Osadero, trying to stall out for Starry, and he doesn't able to do it. Starry able to get that trade kill. The classic top lane dilemma. Dobby, greeting for those plates.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be able to, you get the kill, you want to go for it. But the fact that Starry still had his ultimate cooldown, you should have been like, okay, I'll come back for it. Or at least let the minions kill it off, because there's a pretty long range on like how far you can get that coming in. But now you're traded plate for plates. Like, is it worth it? Absolutely not.
Yeah, that might give Starry a bit of an opening back into these duels. Still, though, it's all about that Haymaker timing. I think that's why he's got that stack up. He can take so much of that energy. I don't totally know why Starry utilized it so early. I mean, you nerf all the damage, you nerf all the shit you can get on it, and Starry can really outplay this 1v1 if he could just time that correctly with when Osadero throws down Noxie and Guillotine.
Yeah, but he just didn't. It was really weird. I think he didn't, maybe panic pressed it instead of the Q to get away. But they're going for the Rift Herald here. Really good. However, this leaves martial arts alone without the flash in the bot side. So, I mean, I'm surprised that SDC isn't trying to overload and get the kill down there.
Instead, they're NA ramming it a bit towards mid here. Zeranos does push forward, but he can't really 1v1 martial arts for Y alone, especially if he gets binded and just gets blown up. So nothing, to really be traded for that Rift Herald. And I will mention, I like to, as actually they are going to finally try and set up for this. Lexus does spot this out, gets rooted. There's the big root down. Pierce Blades here. Beautiful Glacial Prison. CC lockdown is flawless, and they feed Zeranos a kill. Well played by the Death Guards.
Yeah, and Lexus getting out by the skin of his teeth, really good there. Cost him his flash, but got the kill, and it went on to Zeranos. So just overall, net positive play. I understand what they were going for on the side of red. You swap the mid and the bot lane just so that you can get that Rift Herald prio. But let's see how well they utilize that objective.
There it is, Stabby. They're dropping it top, trying to pinch off Starry. They'll at least get a couple plates out of it, but Starry's still up, and it's pretty hard to dive a set, I would say. He doesn't have flash available, but does have the showstopper to create distance, and has the haymaker available if he wants it. Mr. America still holding around. The bot side now rotating up, actually, for Redacted. As Osadero takes a big jump. He's getting jumped on. There's the showstopper out. The haymaker doesn't find the kill. The healing from Osadero is enough, but he's still getting chased down. Full passive procs on top of Starry. And Osadero's going to limp away. Nobody from the rest of the ensemble decided to jump into that despite all of them being rotated up topside.
Yeah, Starry stalled it out pretty long to do everything he can to just survive that. Also, like I'm not a fan of the use of that Rift Herald there. Like they only got the one plate. Maybe a second one fell afterwards just because the Rift hit it a couple times, but like they didn't prep the objective well enough to get full value of the Rift Herald. So it's a little sad to see that, but it's an extremely close game here going into game 3. A lot more passivity coming from both teams. But Dragon spawning in a minute. Maybe we'll see something spicy coming along here now that everyone is at their ultimate spike.
I do want to track. I always love doing this when we have Syndra's in game. Shredman hit that first Splinter upgrade pretty quickly. Did utilize that first strike, so if we get a look at the gold really quickly, I believe Shredman has been able to at least keep decently even with martial arts for Y with that first strike. It seems he's gotten really good usage out of it, despite the fact that he's so ahead on the Splinter count. And the quickest that the Syndra can get those upgrades, the big ones, like we talked about, the Sky of the Week upgrade that comes third, and the biggest one is Unleash Power, that 15% health. You know, if you got an opponent under 15%, it's an execute. So
yeah.
That's just going to be huge up against this decently squishy Redacted squad as Lexus gets jumped on for that invade. Is able to get away. I believe also stole away that red buff, so nothing too bad.
Yeah, and able to get back in time for the Dragon is going to be big for Lexus as well. You don't have the Summoner on him, but he's the only one without a flash right now, and he's the front line, so whatever happens there will happen for the most part. But this Dragon fight is going to be big, and hopefully Ooga Booga is able to, like you said, build up the Inferno and get that ultimate off.
Yep, trying to get to that Inferno trigger, needs to get all the passive stacks on Daredevil Impulse. And if you are STC, maybe you'd like to stall out this Drake take as long as possible because Starry's teleport is up decently soon. But looks like they're actually just going to walk down. Osadero already back to come over here. So you can see both teams own it. They really want to get this Drake, and they want to fight over it.
Yeah, but there's just no prep from Redacted again. Like, they don't have the prio, the waves are neutral, and they're engaging separately.
Okay, Mr. America has passive, but that's a big Glacial Prison on the background. Big crash down for Pierce Blade. He gets the priority targets. They blow Osadero out the water. There's the Inferno trigger. Ooga Booga has to go huge, but he's too squishy, and he gets popped by Zeranos. The passive comes out for Mr. America as a fleeting play to save his mid laner, but it's 4 big kills for the Death Cards, and they are on upset alert.
Yep, and Zeranos is teaching Ooga Booga how to play Kai'Sa. See, right here, they don't have the prio. They're a little split up. They're fighting without the Lux in their fight. And an amazing showstopper, able to completely negate everything that Osadero wanted to do. The collector Samira just wasn't able to get anything off of it. Like Lexus lived with a sliver, but they just don't seem to have an answer for SDC at this point in time.
Yeah, really well played there from all the big frontliners. Lexus, that was a big glacial prison to lock down Osadero, but also get the slow across on those other squishy members. And it set up that crash down magnet storm from Pierce Blade. He finds 3 with those. And like you mentioned, Starry thinks Osadero can't get big healing, can't get big stacks, and might actually have him in an outplay here. Takes too much of the turret, has to flash the Haymaker. The Scout of the Week will claim it though from Shredman. And that's who you want the kill on as well. Feels nice that the death cards are up, but they're also just getting all the kills on the members that need the gold.
Yeah, this is a completely different team that played in game 2, and showing the mental fortitude to not let that stomp affect them. They knew they were close to winning at the end there, and they only lost because of that TP flank. And they're trying to show everything they can here to do good work. But Rift Herald spawning top. Again, they're trading a tower for a tower. Lux is down there getting that solo stuff. They're pushing in mid right now with the objective, with the minions as well, but there's just not a lot going on that is available because the next dragon doesn't spawn for another 3.5 minutes.
And what do you do if you are Redacted here? Very much so on the back foot, and the problem is these fights are only going to get harder. I mean, as powerful as Samira can be, getting those resets, you have to play fights pretty picture perfect, even put yourself in a spot to get that damage out. And with guys like Shredman getting those itemizations coming across, it just makes it so hard for Samira to even work in the environment with what Syndra can do to scale and zone. He's looking to zone at Martial Art for Y off the map, and he's going to do it for a killing spree. What a game 3 for Shredman.
Yeah, and this goes back to the whole, I really don't like Deluxe. I don't like it. Like, it did well in game 2, but just because it does well in one game doesn't mean it's going to do well in another. And the fact that SDC have an answer to it is why it's doing so well.
Their top lane's working too. Osadero, I mean, Darius is so good melee versus melee, but he just has no chance against Star. He needs the help. Bouncing going around is Mr. America. The Haymaker doesn't land on Osadero, but he just can't get close enough. Star will kill him off. So they commit 3-4 with the teleport for Martial Art for Y, and they don't even get a kill out of it.
Yeah, but what they do have now is the ability to collapse on the mid lane. That Rift Herald means they're gonna want to. They're looking like they're going to collapse it in again. Maybe we see a team fight here where they do well.
Booga's already getting low, stunned up. Look at that damage from a range with this Syndra and the Killer Instinct. Zeranos, one more auto will claim it, and the mid lane barrage just continues. SCC, they're going to get 3 turrets out of this.
3 turrets for free.
Oh, but here's the response. Big hostile takeover. Show Me doesn't want it to end just yet. Sets up the final spark. Serranos, the shutdowns are coming through. STC bit off too much of the proverbial apple, and they get 3 kills right back.
Yeah, and both of those shutdowns went on Deluxe. That's, what, 1,300 gold right there for him? So, like, what lead that Shredman had is now gone. Lex probably going to hit the next power spike here quickly. Hopefully getting themselves in a tower. The objective bounties are up. There's so much potential for them to get back in, but we also see that death cards still have the gold lead, still have the item advantage, and we'll prioritize the next dragon.
What?
But
that hostile takeover was everything.
Yeah, and then the fact that he was just able to pull, Osadero was able to pull back in the Rel to keep Pierce Blade from leaving, and just guillotining him down, securing the kill there. Very well done.
Show Me, despite the fact Ronaldo might be in the gutter in the meta, he has had a lot of big clutch hostile takeovers. We saw a replay of that one from game 2, was able to separate with the ultimate. It didn't hit anybody, but created enough space, and Show Me can keep finding ultimates like that. Don't see why Redacted can't fight back. The gold lead has started to dwindle a bit, but they have to worry about that dragon stacking. The big thing that broke them in game number 1 that STC was so good at.
Yeah, the objective control has just been spot on from Lexus. Like, game 2 notwithstanding, he has been pretty dominant in this series about what objectives he's getting. And to be fair, he's doing it while on playmaker jungles. The Ivern, not really impactful in game 2, but he's doing much better now.
In game 1 and 3 now, Lexus has secured 7 of the 8 Drakes coming across. Yeah, I mean, and potential to be perfect between those 2 games. You can always give outliers to players. Everyone loves to do it so far. Lexus looking to make it an outlier lost against Travelers, and he's got friends like Starry that want to help him. He has that full rage bar charged up. The Haymaker whiffs, though, has the Sterix going, but look at the barrage coming for him. Big Glacial Prison, it's Lexus, the man we talked about, to bail out his teammate. And he might even fall for it. Flashes away. Inferno Trigger comes out from Uga Booga, who does find Starry in the brush, so it ends up being a trade, a shutdown. But what can STC get with all this attention bot side? Lexus, he's just trying to delay, I assume. He gets caught here. Shredman comes across. Big Scare of the week. But now he might be caught. He gets pulled back by Mr. America's Zach. Elastic Slingshot. They get the knockups. Uga Booga. His damage is at astronomical numbers. He's traded. But you can't afford these trades, Death Cards.
Yeah, no. If you're trading 2 for 3 every time, it's gonna go the way of Red. Like, they're just doing so well, and getting that gold onto the the Samira is just pretty damning. Like, you're putting a nail in your coffin. This gold lead that you've had is now down to 500 gold. Baron is finally starting spawning, so you got to be very careful about taking these bad fights, especially if Lexus gets caught out like that again, because this will turn into probably a pretty astronomical throw, because they've been in charge this entire game.
And both of those kills, that was a shutdown. Every shutdown has now been claimed by Redacted. They wiped, I believe, 4 of them off the board now with all those plays combined. Yeah. So the Death Cards are not really keeping it together in this mid game. And while Redacted have had their very questionable moments in the series, they are deserved respect. They're a 3-0 team for a reason. 6-0 in all games coming into this. You can't give them an opening.
Yeah, and they're currently sitting at 7-1, even notwithstanding the end of the series. So they still have the ability to do it, but there's still so much strength and pick potential from the side of SDC that they could turn any fight. And I don't think that you want to fight a 5v5 if you're Redacted right at the moment. You want to pick and poke, and then once they're low enough, you want to go for it. Like, they've won all these team fights because Starry hasn't been involved. He's just gonna be so strong because he can just stop all of Samira's engage. He can do his, what is it called? The face breaker. Wow.
Yep.
He can face break everything. He can use his ultimate ability, the showstopper, everything to just stop Samira. That's why Set was a good pick as a support for a long time.
Exactly. When Samira was at one of her strongest points. And while Uga Booga Samira can, deflect a lot of those projectiles, Starry is not projectiles at all. And there's the showstopper to come out. There's the fight you needed. You called it to a T, Dobimon. Once Starry shows up, the Death Cards just absolutely roll. 2 big kills. They're going to chase Osadero down. Zeranos is going to knock down some ugly purple-looking boogers that are known as Mr. America. And with the base wide open, could this just be the series?
Yeah, I think they're gonna get the inhibitor here. Secure the secure the Baron. Move down for the Baron, Dragon Soul. Just clean this out with a lot of strong macro, and then just end the game. Because there's, after that team fight and how well they executed it there, I think STC is definitely going to take the series here. Yes, my prediction was wrong. However, I did say at the beginning of this game, SDC was going to win.
Consolation prize. It doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but shows up in the VOD. But for the Death Cards, this means so much. I mean, to find this series win, you're completely shaking up the complexity of this Divine League through 4 weeks.
Yeah. Right here. It was a beautiful showstopper completely took out the Samira, hit him with the face breaker, got a good haymaker off. Like, saying all these names back and forth is a little but like it just worked. It was so well.
Starry might not be done here. This time he's going to be the target of this jump bot. It's all of Redacted going for Starry, and he might just try to kill the bailout. It's just too late. Starry's mopping them all up, and his teammate shows up. Lexus here in just the nick of time. Starry will finally fall, but the damage has been done, and Shredman is going to claim the kills as a prize. Knocks down Show Me. Martial Art for Y has no escapes the stuns. It's all enough. Lexus pulling off his car form, driving by, will set up the kill for Shredman, set up the game for the death cards. It's all down to Mr. America, but he's got no shot in the death cards realm. The first big upset of the Divide season is here. The perfect season is done for Redacted, and it's at the hands of SDC.
Yeah, extremely well and thought out played. There's just nothing that they could do here in game 3. And then SCC didn't have a strong showing in game 2, but they've always adapted and had it right back.
And all it's left to do is hit the Nexus. They're just dancing around it here. Osadero is trying to fight back. He's going to get that kill, actually. That's a big shutdown on his Zeranos. But Lexus is getting the autos, the flash away, doing his best. So has Impression. He's able to find the game. They close it out. And what a game. The entire complexion of the Divine League, the power rankings, if anyone had them, they've been leveled.
Yeah, everything is up for grabs now within this league. I don't know how else to describe it. Everyone, Redacted is now 3-1. Death Cards is now 3-1, and
Travelers.
Depending on how Travelers win.
I would. We can. Who are they playing? I feel like they're playing a weaker team. If they, let's
they're
play that they.
playing rice farmers.
Okay, let's just pretend that they are 3-1. We can get into those discussions about what the table's going to look like in a bit. Let's stick with this game because I know the replay's already ready. We're going to jump in right off the bat, and this was the one moment Redacted were kind of able to shine here, is through this Samira Ooga Booga. This is a perfect start for a Samira player.
Yeah, this is exactly what you want as a Samira. Like, you're getting the 2 kills. Like, you're won this team fight. It was a 3 for 2. Like, it just worked very well. But the fact that Death Cards kept everything smooth after this, and it just did not let this get the better of them, showed that the better team definitely won here.
And you got to give credit. You talked about how some of those picks that you see come out in competitive play, they don't always work in competitive play, mainly because people are able to talk. Samira might be one of those AD carries, right? When not everyone's able to communicate, you give a Samira a lead. Solo queue, good players are going to run away with it, but I got to assume the Death Cards were able to talk through a lot of these positionings, just always have their eyes on Ooga Booga. And as we get into these later replay, we're going to get into this 13-minute drag. You're going to see partly why the Samira fall flat. Wasn't able to get the damage out they needed.
Yeah, and what you're gonna see here is the fact they basically took out Osadero completely. They weren't synergized as a team. Martial Arts wasn't there, and it just shows the power of everything else that SDC was going to have, and they just had nothing for the side of Redacted. Like, the damage wasn't there. He had Collector on Samira, just wasn't able to collect anything because there was no damage done.
Yeah, you just got to think if his 3 big teammates don't get picked off, that's a perfect Inferno trigger, but everyone else around him was completely killed off. And Death Cards, we talked about Pierce Blade, another great engaged. You mentioned Lexus in those 2 games, great objective control, pretty flawless Sejuani game. And those 2 guys really come together for this final replay. It's that Baron fight that kind of just solidifies the game here. It's just constant picks, but the other guy we haven't sung the praise of is Starry.
Yeah, and this shows the genius of the set pick. We talked about it, how it was a strong support pick into Samira back when they were both meta, and here it just is like it's good in the Darius. It is able to win those team fights, and it just completely negated the utter strength of that champion. And it won them the team fight. Like, Starry played that very well, isolated the Smear, didn't even care about the other two champions, and was just like, I'm going for it.
And perfect showstopper. Just completely stopped the show. There was this redacted run early on in the season. But now, Dobby, we can quickly, as we close things out, talk about it, because the landscape now of Divine at the top is crazy. I mean, those three teams we mentioned, barring if Travelers can get the 3-1, you've got a three-way tie at the top for first place, with every team taking a game off each other.
Yeah, so Travelers actually beat Rice yesterday because they rescheduled. So they're now 3-1. There are now three 3-1 teams, and if ISU wins tonight, there would be 4 3-1 teams. So you're looking at like a 4-way tie for first, based off of the transitive property. I can't say that word. You say it.
Transitive property.
Thank you.
Yeah. But that's even crazier because, Dobby, 4 teams make playoffs for double elimination. So the fact that all 4 of these teams at the top are so close, that just harshes any mellow of a real resurgent team making their way into the playoffs.
While it doesn't do well for the rest of the people at the bottom of the stands, it definitely shows that what we're coming up to in playoffs is definitely going to be spicy, because all 4 of these teams are going to be so close together, instead of it's just going to be like, if Redacted won today, it'd be a 4-0 team. Everyone would be like, okay, Redacted is now the favorite to win. And that's going to be the story moving forward. But today, there are no more favorites. Everyone has a chance to get back into it, especially because I believe there are 2 weeks left. So
3.
even those 3 weeks, so even those bottom tier teams like Solbert still have the potential to come back and make a run for playoffs, because no one is a clear favorite.
Yeah, We Love Solbert, they were pretty close kicking off the entire split to actually beating the Death Cards. They pushed that to a 3-game series. So a lot of what ifs are going to be able to come out from this. A lot of question marks still left up for the season. But that's exactly how we wanted. Unfortunately, that'll close out our broadcast for this week here as we fade into our terrible predictions. Gordo, I'm sure you'll victory lap me in some group chat. Amazing prediction, man. If you hear this, 2-1, the only one to get the perfect. And unfortunately, Dobby, Spooky Mars does at least get a point over you for picking the Death Cards.
I'm going to go change my answer real quick.
Oh, not this again, man. All right. Before any more shenanigans come across, everybody still watching, appreciate you sticking around. Appreciate you tuning in for the debut, I guess, of the Slayer and Dobbymon experience. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, casting alongside this guy. Big shout out as well to production behind the scenes. We're getting the big guns out here. We got, obviously, Leche, amazing, working with you as well, running these replays. But big shout out to Big Ben, as he's been coined by certain people to me, who was running the Observer. We got multiple people on production here for Divine. It was a blast to do it. But guys, Divine is not the only league with action right now. Monday, we're just kicking things off, to be honest with you. You come back towards the weekend, you got the Draft League running on Fridays. Playoffs are coming up for those leagues. Dominate, Rampage on your Saturday, Sunday slot. Champs League, the Uncapped League return, that's still going and firing on all cylinders on Sunday. So while it's the offseason for the LCS and the NACL, we'd love to have you guys still here watching all the Risen broadcasts. For everybody here, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys hopefully next week to figure out who the hell wants to take the top spot in the regular season for the Divine League.
Let's do it.